At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Since the NBA doesn't start back up until tomorrow night, yours truly ventured out to a college basketball game. Shout out to the Wake Forest Demon Deacons getting a win against the Clemson Tigers, who recently were ranked in the top 25, but Brad Brownell's team has lost a few games of late. We'll get into the college hoop in just a little bit. But first, there's really strange discourse happening in the NFL currently. We're less than a month away from NFL free agency starting, and usually when free agency arrives, there are some quarterbacks that you circle wondering which team they're going to go to. There's some real appeal that goes along with that conversation. But man, the Malik Willis hype really speaks to how sad this year's free agency quarterback class is. Really? This is the best we have? Really? That's seeing it on shows all over the place. Where's Malik Willis headed? What? We're talking about the same Malik Willis that has started just 6 games in the NFL and was a mid-round draft pick out of Liberty? That Malik Willis. He's a prize? Or is the NFL such a dominant giant that we consume everything it puts out, and thus whoever the top quarterback in a given free agency class, whoever it might be, even if it's Malik Willis, we're going to pretend that's a huge deal where that quarterback ends up, because that's the NFL media cycle each year. That's the NFL calendar. But then something dawned on me. That can't be the best quarterback who's available, right? Because Aaron Rodgers, in theory, might be available to go to another team. Is Aaron Rodgers somebody that might be an option, considering his contract with the Steelers was only 1 year? Thus, Malik Willis actually isn't the best option available in the market. Aaron Rodgers would be. Thus, this question is worth asking. Why is Malik Willis being seen as the best free agent option that's available in the market? If you could have one quarterback to win a game today, would you prefer Aaron Rodgers at 41 years old or Malik Willis? Pardon, Aaron Rodgers, 42 years old, will turn 43 during next season. Or would you prefer Malik Willis with his 6 starts? 310-840-4910 if you want in. This seems, once again, an example of the perception of Aaron Rodgers being out of control. Rodgers should be a prize during this cycle for quarterback-needy teams that feel that they are a quarterback away from winning. It's very strange. There is this perception out there that Aaron Rodgers had a bad season in 2025. Where is this coming from? On what planet did Aaron Rodgers have a bad season this past year? The perception's as if he's washed. He's not worth keeping around. He's going to retire. But is it based on the numbers or the fact that there are some non-football reasons to not like Aaron Rodgers all that much? And maybe it's more about opinions he's espoused off the field more than it's about football performance. Because here's the reality. Last season was his best year in 5 seasons. 24 touchdown passes, just 7 picks. Here's a list of quarterbacks he had a better passer rating than last season. Caleb Williams, Trevor Lawrence, C.J. Stroud, Baker Mayfield, Justin Herbert. Other than Baker, all those quarterbacks played in the playoffs. And you know who else went to the playoffs? Aaron bleeping Rodgers. 10-7 season. Malik Willis has started 6 games over 4 years. So how come when free agent quarterback comes up, it's not trying to woo Aaron Rodgers and convince him to continue playing and him being the prize, but instead being sold on the idea that Malik Willis is somehow a prize in free agency? That's really strange. And there are 2 teams to watch for Aaron Rodgers' services. The Indianapolis Colts, and yes, going back to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Colts should be doing everything in their power to try to lure Aaron Rodgers. Legally, of course. Tampering. Don't quite know how strictly enforced that is in the NFL, but at least get word to Rodgers, you might be interested in him. Because that was a team trying to contend last year and was successfully doing so. Remember how aggressive they were at the trade deadline, and they brought in Sauce Gardner, and they were going for it, trading away draft picks? Then Daniel Jones goes down. And Daniel Jones, it's a bad injury. It's an Achilles. You don't like that, and he's a free agent. So do you want to run it back with Daniel Jones off an Achilles injury and sign him? Or do you want to sign, in a short-term situation, Aaron Rodgers to a one-year deal? That sounds better than Daniel Jones. That sounds better than Malik Willis. And if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, you could bring Aaron Rodgers back too. That all depends on what the relationship actually is between Aaron and his former head coach in Green Bay, Mike McCarthy. Only they can answer that. If you're Willis, the Miami Dolphins make too much sense. New GM, new head coach there, and both those guys came from Green Bay, where Malik Willis was of late. The Jets and Cardinals, they're quarterback needy, but they seem poised to swing on a quarterback in the draft. Probably not with their first picks. The Jets picking second, the Cardinals picking third. That seems a bit rich for the second quarterback on the board, but the Jets have 2 first-rounders. The Cardinals have early picks in rounds 2 and 3 if a guy they like falls a bit in the draft. But the discourse, it's really strange surrounding Aaron Rodgers. And not for the normal reasons discourse is strange surrounding Aaron Rodgers. He's the prize of this free agent cycle. Unless you tell me differently, 310-840-4910. If you want in, 310-840-4910. Who would you prefer if you had one game to be your team's quarterback, Aaron Rodgers or would be Kansas, that would be Illinois, that would be Nebraska, that would be Florida. Those are the 7 teams in that category. For one reason or another, we got reasons to doubt. And then we have one complete wild card. One team that's just a complete wild card. My math, by the way, is off. No, wait, I got it. Those are 7 teams. We're counting it correctly here, so we're at 12 right now. One more complete wild card, and that's North Carolina. With Caleb Wilson, they'd be in the second group, and he's supposed to return very soon. So those are the teams right now that I think can win a national championship. You got the 4, make it 5 in the top tier, 7 in the, hey, your resume says you're a contender, but don't fully trust it yet, that can win a title. And then North Carolina as that wild card to keep an eye on with Caleb Wilson's status. That's 13 teams. And there are 2 teams that are write-offs due to injuries in the past week. Richie Saunders at BYU, that's a tough one. JT Toppin at Texas Tech, we learned about today. That's a very difficult injury to have as well. B-Dot, he's the most entertaining guest in sports talk. He'll join us on today's program. But moving this train along, Kevin Durant has spoken out about burner phone gate. Plus, we'll get to your calls, and we'll play America's fastest growing game show. All of that next on Westwood One Sports Night.
Westwood One, baby!
Will Tua Tagovailoa jumpstart his career in a new city like Baker Mayfield did? We're tracking quarterbacks on the move and what it means for the NFL on Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Question we're asking. Oh yeah, fire it up. Who would you prefer to be your team's quarterback today, February 18th? Aaron Rodgers or Malik Willis? Those seem to be the top two options among NFL free agent quarterbacks. If you look elsewhere, you see Russell Wilson, Daniel Jones coming off a late season Achilles, Joe Flacco, maybe Jimmy G, maybe Kenny Pickett. So it seems Aaron Rodgers and Malik Willis are the right two guys to have this discussion about. 310-840-4910, and then we'll play America's fastest growing game show on Westwood One Sports Night. Let's go to Hayden, who's in Georgia. Hayden, Aaron Rodgers or Malik Willis?
I gotta be, by the way, can you hear me first?
Yeah, what's up, Hayden?
All right, what's up? I gotta be brutally honest. I would have to go with Malik, and I have two good reasons why I think that way.
Please.
The first one being is that, first off, I've been a Colts fan like all my life, Peyton Manning, everything since I was a kid. I'm kind of tired of going through.
Hold one sec. So you're in this position where your team that you root for needs a quarterback this year. This roster is a quarterback away in the minds of many. So this is a real question you're asking. The Colts, they're going to sign somebody who's an impending free agent, likely. It's going to be Daniel Jones with the Achilles. It's going to be Malik Willis. I'm saying it should be Aaron Rodgers. You're saying no. Why not for the Colts? Who do you want and why?
If I had to pick one right now, I'd have to still kind of go with Daniel Jones. And my main reason for that is while we did have that very bad collapse at the midpoint of the season, which the downfall was definitely seen by the Steelers, led by Aaron Rodgers, is just seeing the performance Aaron Rodgers was put on the spot, at playoffs. What was the team that took him down? The Texans,
Houston,
with that elite defense. Suddenly now we have to deal with the idea that Rodgers has to deal with the Texans defense again. But at the same time, I'll even sit here and say Steelers probably even had a better offensive line than the Colts that season.
All right.
So,
well, does it scare you at all that Drake May could have won the MVP and looked terrible against that Texans defense too. Is it possible as a common denominator that maybe the Texans defense is just really good and maybe a one-game sample of what you do against that defense isn't more valuable than 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and a better QB rating than C.J. Stroud, Baker Mayfield, Trevor Lawrence, and Justin Herbert? That's my thought.
When it comes to that point, yes, you can have an amazing season and, get your team to the playoffs. But at the same time, my issue kind of starts stemming from, what have the Colts have been through ever since we lost Andrew Luck. We've been on this carousel of quarterbacks. We've had Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, et cetera. And so now suddenly we're going to, our 7th quarterback since then. And it's we just can't get a consistent enough offense to run the ball in order to get down the line and make these games happen. While I understand Daniel Jones is injured and going through a very serious injury, maybe it might just be best if we have some sort of consistency on the line rather than, going one more time and going to try this one more time and then, still end up going 8-9.
It is a good point, and I'm glad you bring it up, and I appreciate the call. Denton Day, how do you feel, understanding that the title of a lot of what we have here today, it's Malik Willis versus Aaron Rodgers. But to his point, Daniel Jones is a free agent too. Does Daniel Jones belong in the conversation? Should it be Daniel Jones versus Malik Willis versus Aaron Rodgers?
I mean, are you really going to take a big flyer, though, on Daniel Jones coming off of that major injury? That worries me because that's the kind of injury that could, for a guy that's approaching 30, it kind of derails a career that was, you could argue, was already kind of derailed, just in general.
It would be, well, all these guys, if we're being honest about it, all three have things that you are very concerned about. It's Rodgers' age, being 42 years old, and maybe some of the other stuff.
It's Rodgers' personality.
There's that too, right? With Malik Willis, it's you've started 6 games in 4 years. It's that incredible small sample size that you worry about with him. And with Daniel Jones, it's injury, how he'll look, because he did look really good in the time that we saw him this past season with the Colts. So we'll add his name to the list, see if there are any flyers at 310-840-4910. Let's take one more. Let's go to Mr. Positive. It is Greg in Michigan. Mr. Positive, where are you on the topic?
Boom, shakalaka. Everybody go for your dreams. Josh, D-Day, you pose an interesting question. Would I rather have Willis or Rodgers? Here's the thing. The pundits say that Willis has the goods, okay? But the cachet, the prima donna, Aaron Rodgers, he's a superstar. They say he's one of the most gifted quarterbacks of all time. Throwing-wise, he's elusive. He can do it. But because he's such a superstar and a prima donna, he's going to tell whomever he plays for, you better have somebody to defend me, and I'll take you to the promised land. It's like D-Day said, his personality is a little bit to be desired, but he does have the skill. He can throw it 75 yards. He's smart. He's elusive. You got to give it to Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, appreciate the call, Greg in Michigan. Aaron Rodgers, the choice. That's where I'm leaning as well. We also have a nomination for Daniel Jones, and haven't had a Malik Willis nomination yet, but the night is still young. 310-840-4910. Do you want to play America's fastest growing game show that we introduced last week, Cash or Trash?
I think the people are clamoring for it. In fact, I think they're begging.
Tell us how it works, and then we'll put it in Oliver's lap to see if there's any generic music of his taste. Not the Grandma Bazooka song. It's the only song I'll say no to as being a fit for Cash or Trash. but whatever you think might fit as D-Day explains the bit fits well.
Well, I literally just told him we don't have music yet, so I think he should pitch us ideas for music. When I tell him that you play Cash or Trash by, I am going to give you a thing. It could be a noun, it could be a place, it could be something. I'm going to give you a thing, and then, Josh, you have to decide whether that particular thing, that scenario is cash, or whether that particular thing or that scenario is trash.
You were about to suggest bazooka, weren't you, Oliver?
My mind is going places. I need to do some research, but I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Yeah, just make sure that you get the clean version.
This is where we learn a lot about Oliver.
Okay.
His mind's going places. What does that mean? I have no idea what that means. We're going to learn a lot about
None of us do. We're all learning together. Cash or trash? What is the first cash or trash topic to throw?
All right, so first cash or trash, I'm going to give you Tyreek Hill just as an entity. Tyreek Hill as a person. He's now a free agent. He's getting up there in age, really, really good speed. He has said that he is going to lock in. I don't know what that really means, but he said he is going to lock in. So cash or trash, Tyreek Hill in the year of our Lord 2026.
Trash, because let's not forget that before the world and God, we had a really ugly injury the last time we saw Tyreek Hill on the football field, and Tyreek Hill creates a lot of problems. He just does. There are stupid things that he gets tied up in. Don't need to get too far down the rabbit hole of Tyreek Hill's past.
Google.
Yeah, don't need to do it. But because of the injury and that position, that you don't want a lot of injury history. Receivers are not protected the way that quarterbacks are. That would be a concern given how long he's been in the league, which is a lot longer than you might think.
On top of that, I think, the particular injury to a guy who plays with speed does make that very tough. All right, next here on cash or trash. Bear with me here. This is going to take some explanation. LeBron James joining the Cavaliers. There we go, Bruno.
Excellent work on Oliver's part.
LeBron James joining the Cavaliers.
Sorry. I was just going to say, it's very smart on Oliver's part because we're getting to know him. He's also getting to know us. And Bruno Mars, thinking in a wedding context, because we're not far from wedding season, that might be the highest batting average artist you can find in terms of who will white people and black people both like at the same time, who will old people and the Utes like at the same time and dance. I think
he's a safe bet.
I mean, some of the old people might think it's just the Police, that's Sting singing, not Bruno at the same time, and they'll just dance to it anyway. So, good call, just going high batting average artist with Bruno Mars here.
I don't think we played a single Bruno Mars song at my wedding.
Not even Marry You?
No. What? No.
It's a beautiful night. We're looking for something dumb to do. Hey, baby, I think I'm going to marry you.
No, that sounds way too basic, like we're trying to be in a compilation of some. So, all right, trash or pass, Bruno Mars. Apparently we stand on, I don't think Bruno Mars is trash, but...
Cash! Second best Super Bowl halftime show ever, in my opinion.
To you. He wasn't on a list of no plays at the wedding. There was one artist on the list of no plays, but...
Who?
Yeah, Drake. What? Ew. Yuck.
I was at a wedding that Beyonce was on the no play.
That's crazy. We were crip walking at my wedding to Not Like Us at the end. I can show you pictures. We were legit. My cousin's husband was legitimately crip walking, and I was like, I can't do all of that, but I will enjoy this.
All right, then I got to tell you my story then. Cash or trash, Nuck If You Buck by the Crime Mob. Cash on that. Did I ever tell this story on this show yet?
Yes, you
involving the Crime Mob? Okay, I have. That just was a banger song. I had one request in my wedding day, and I told my mother-in-law I wanted Nuck If You Buck to play at some point. And then when they did, there was such a loud roar that the band that just got done performing thought that people wanted an encore. They did not. They just wanted to push each other around in a mosh pit as the crime
As you
mob
do at a
might.
wedding. That's what you're looking for. All right.
Okay.
Cash or trash, LeBron James reuniting in Cleveland on a veteran minimum, taking a 99% pay cut because there are going to be streaming services that are looking to market his final year in the NBA. Those services could legitimately go, according to experts, anywhere between $40 to $75 million.
Quite literal cash
True.
for LeBron James. Quite literal.
All right, final trash or cash here. Your boy passed away, unfortunately. Robert Duvall. You haven't talked about this. Cash or trash? Robert Duvall movie catalog. Go.
Trash. No, cash, of course. How bad would that be if I just said trash, overrated, get him out? No, Robert Duvall is just every decade you could find a great Robert Duvall performance dating back to the 60s. Honestly, I was this week old when I found out that the first screen performance for the great Robert Duvall was playing Boo Radley in To Kill a Mockingbird. Didn't know that, with Gregory Peck, and he appears on screen, no words, but he communicates so much just with his ability to act, and that's his first screen performance. And then you can't tell the story of American film without talking about the Godfather movies. And obviously, him as Tom Hagen is what he's going to most be remembered for. But every decade since then, if you're talking about Tender Mercies or talking about, heck, if you like Kicking and Screaming, I have a personal affinity. As a kid, it was a formative movie called Secondhand Lions that I loved Robert Duvall in. Was really saddened to see him pass because he's an all-time giant. Didn't even mention in the 80s The Natural and some of the other things that he did, The Paper in the 90s. Robert Duvall, an all-time giant, we lost this week. Glad you gave me a chance to speak on him for even just a few moments. There is a dark horse candidate to go from worst to first in their division in the NFL this season. And that team is next on Westwood One Sports Night.
Could Kyler Murray be next year's Sam Darnold? In a new home, we're tracking quarterbacks on the move and what it means for the NFL on Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Trying to find the right words that aren't curse words to describe how much I love Knuck If You Buck by the Crime Mob. That's probably well said enough. Let's dig right back into the NFL. Which team in the NFL has the best shot at going from last place in their division to first? Going worst to first in 2026. Today was a reminder of who that team is. We'll get into what happened today momentarily, but the team we're talking about is the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are the NFL's dark horse that could take the largest leap this season. Because just look at the blueprint that was set before them by the New England Patriots this past year. They're trying to recreate that. They're looking at the coach they shouldn't have let walk in Mike Vrabel, and they're thinking to themselves, well, let's try to find the next Mike Vrabel. Let's try to recreate what he just did in New England in Nashville. Remember, New England was a bottom 5 team in the league at this time a year ago. They fired their coach, brought in a defensive-minded retread, and they were a team with a young, promising quarterback entering his second season in the league. That is precisely where the Tennessee Titans are. They're picking 4th. They have Cam Ward entering year 2. And now they're hiring Robert Saleh And this is his second NFL head coaching job, defensive-minded guru, defensive-minded coach. The most important coordinator hire this cycle might have been Tennessee landing Brian Daboll. Which brings us to the news of the day. Brian Daboll introduced to the media, and here he was on what intrigued him about the Tennessee job, and more specifically, Cam Ward's place in the selling.
And then ultimately, Cam was a big factor. Have a lot of confidence in this young man. I'm sure I'll get asked about the pre-draft process last year, which was about this time. Had a lot of touch points with him, meetings, 30 visits, going down to Miami, dinner with him and his family. So there was a good relationship built up leading up to the draft.
The Giants had a top 3 pick in the draft, so you have to do your due diligence in case Cam Ward isn't going number 1 to Tennessee. So Brian Daboll spent time with Cam Ward. And let's not forget, Brian Daboll helped Josh Allen, helped Jackson Dart get their careers off the ground. And he's essentially the head coach for the offense, which Robert Saleh lacked. With respect to Nathaniel Hackett in New York, Brian Daboll, a significant jump up from that in terms of your offensive coordinator quality. Here's more from Daboll on the importance of his head coaching experience now as an offensive coordinator.
Yeah, well, I would say this. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the job that Robert has to do from being in that. I'm very happy to be where I'm at right now and to be part of this football team as the offensive coordinator. I'm always going to be here for Robert, the rest of the staff. But, that's a hard chair to sit in, and having some experience sitting in it will help me relative to being the best teammate I can be for this staff. And
perfect thing to say there for Daboll. And it seems as if the Titans' success in this hiring cycle has largely been overlooked. And this is mostly for 2 reasons. You had 2 long-tenured coaches departing. Mike Tomlin after 19 years, John Harbaugh after 18. The Giants attracted the most attention out of the 10 hires that were made. So there were a lot of other hires to acknowledge when they hired John Harbaugh. But Tennessee, that's the team with a chance to make the biggest jump. And they're the right decision. If you are picking a team most likely to go from worst to first in their division, they're in the right division to do that in the AFC South. They are the team that has the potential to make the largest leap in 2026. But what say you? 310-840-4910. Here are the nominees. You pick which of these 8 teams has the best shot at going from worst to first. The New York Jets, anybody? The Cincinnati Bengals. The Titans, who we're nominating. The Vegas Raiders, worst record in the league. The New York Giants, who seem to be a popular pick. This is nuts. But because of tiebreakers, the Detroit Lions had the worst record in the NFC North, technically. That's because they had a worse conference record and a worse division record than the Minnesota Vikings did, even though they both finished 9-8. You can nominate the New Orleans Saints, finishing last in the NFC South. And then there's the Arizona Cardinals, 3-14 in the NFC West. Those are your options. Which of those 8 teams, the best odds at going from worst to first? 310-840-4910 is the number. Getting to some NBA news. LaMelo Ball involved in a car crash in the Queen City of Charlotte, North Carolina. He does seem to be okay, uninjured, the reports, and there's video of this wreck that makes it seem like that's not a surprise, that everybody's okay. For anybody who is unfamiliar, or let's put it differently, being that I'm in the state of North Carolina and have followed this team for a long time, for anybody who's familiar with Melo's vibe, this isn't a big shocker. D-Day, one time I was doing an interview with a Carolina Panthers beat writer in North Carolina, and he's just riding about in the Queen City. You could tell he's in his car. And about halfway in the interview, the guest goes, "Ah!" And I thought, what happened? And before I could even ask that question, this guy goes, LaMelo Ball just whipped in front of my car in traffic on a Lime scooter. That just happened just now in the Queen City, uptown Charlotte. So, and he immediately goes from the car that he was in to a Lamborghini, and he is a man-child. That is what LaMelo Ball is. And if you're Charlotte, he's the type of player you just want to put in bubble wrap and make sure he gets to the arena safely. That's what you want. But there is history, actually, of Charlotte athletes getting in car crashes and ended up okay. 10 years ago, Cam Newton, during the MVP season, got into a car wreck. And I think he actually was a little bit banged up. Didn't miss any games, but it's not the first time that's happened. But D-Day, that's not the most important detail according to you. What did you find most interesting about this story?
Well, I found most interesting that this dude drives a Hummer in 2026. That feels like a very 2006 ass car, a camo Hummer. Dude looks like the Batmobile. But then, Josh,
who drives Hummers?
Who drives a Hummer? It got even better or worse, depending on perspective. I found out that there was a compilation of him running red lights in the Charlotte area. Like, what kind of compilation is that?
This is also a dude that has a go-kart on his roof, like in a penthouse in uptown Charlotte, and people have gotten video of him just riding around in circles at night. If you wonder what LaMelo does on his spare time, that's what he's doing. But you're right. I don't know what a tank of gas in a Hummer costs in Chino Hills, California, but I'd like to know. Somebody look up for me. One of you two, we'll get the answer in just a few minutes, how much it would cost to fill up a Hummer. And this doesn't look like an old Hummer, but a Hummer, whatever LaMelo was driving, ballpark it. Fill up your tank full of gas in Chino Hills, California. We'll get you that answer in just a little bit, but just want to emphasize this point again. We're certainly glad LaMelo's okay, because Charlotte's been a great story in the NBA and a league that is struggling to find a lot of great stories to cling on to. While we are less than a month away from the start of March Madness, we have our own national championship to hand out, and we'll do that and take your calls next on Westwood One Sports Night.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Josh Graham.
We're inviting you to let us know which of the 8 teams that finished last in their NFL divisions has the best shot at going from last place to first, from worst to first. 310-840-4910. There was news that LaMelo Ball was in a car crash in Charlotte, North Carolina tonight. He's okay, which means we can pick fun at the fact that in the Lord's year 2026, he's driving a Hummer. Didn't know that was still a thing in 26, but it is. That's what he was driving. So we're asking the question, where LaMelo's from, Chino Hills, California, how much might it cost to fill up a Hummer with gas if it's completely empty? And on the show, we're all thinking about this, or I'm thinking about it based in North Carolina, where gas here, by the way, is at about $2 a gallon. D-Day, you have the answer, but tell us what gas is in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital.
It's a lot more expensive than $2 a gallon, I can tell you that. We're pushing maybe $3.50, depending on what gas. So there's like one gas station to my left that's like $3.50, but if I drive 10 minutes the other direction, it's like $3.19. So I drive 10 minutes the other direction usually to get gas. A lot worse than your $2 a gallon.
It's little less than $2.50, if I'm being honest. It's not $2, but it's a little bit more than $2.
I would pull a LaMelo Ball while I drive for $2.50 a gallon.
In Costco, it's where they keep the cost low. All right, I'm going to give my guess for what I think it is. Okay. Then we're going to go to Oliver, who's taking calls at 310-840-4910, because he actually lives not too far from Chino Hills, California, joining us from Culver City, Los Angeles area, California. And then you'll tell us what the actual answer is. I'm going to go ahead and guess $127 is my guess for what it costs to fill up a Hummer that is on E in Los Angeles, in Chino Hills, California. That's what I think. What are you guessing, Oliver?
First of all, the fact that Denson complains about $3.50 a gallon is sickening. I would die and sacrifice a family member to be able to pay $3.50 for my truck. That being said, if I had to give a number, I'm going to get real specific. I'm going to go $139.43.
Well, not far off my guess. What is the actual answer?
So if LaMelo Ball were to take his camo Hummer back to Chino Hills, it would cost him a whopping, massive $0.00. His Hummer's fully electric.
But can you at least play along with us and tell us what it would cost?
Well, so here's the thing. This is why it gets very difficult. A Hummer H3 holds 23 gallons. A Hummer H2 holds 32 gallons. A Hummer H1 holds 42 gallons because they have dual tanks.
Oh. Well,
it's messed up.
This was not as fun as I thought it would be.
LaMelo
LaMelo Ball's a hero. He cares about the environment. He might crash into your car, but at least his carbon footprint's all right.
Yeah. Somewhere Dick Hammer's rolling over in his grave. The Marlboro Man. Sam Darnold's grandfather.
The cigarette guy.
Thought. Yeah, that guy. To make this segment more fun than that, because we expected something more climatic than that. Here's something I've legitimately been looking forward to doing all day today. As a lover of college basketball, we are excited for the NCAA tournament. We're excited for March Madness. We can't wait for the actual Final Four, which will be aired on Westwood One Sports, to arrive. So right now, we're going to crown a national championship in a different way tonight. We have the Final Four for the post-game press conference national title. The winner of this award gets the Westwood One Sports Bob Knight Memorial Trophy that we're handing out here. It's not an actual physical trophy, but it's the first ever Bob Knight Memorial Trophy that we're handing out to whoever gives the most entertaining post-game press conference. This is the Final Four for the post-game press conference national championship. The number one national seed emerged last night, UCLA's Mick Cronin. When it comes to being a front-facing jerk, Cronin has been a mainstay in this sport for over 15 years, dating back to his time at Cincinnati. Last night, his Bruins were beaten by about 30 points at Michigan State. Cronin got so mad in the second half, he ejected one of his players from the bench, sent him to the locker room. Done. And here he was, sparring with a reporter after the game.
In the student section chanting Booker's name.
I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section.
I just meant the overall the way that you.
I would like to give you a kudos for the worst question I've ever been asked.
All right, I'll take it.
Did you like
You should take it.
the preparation of the?
Do you really think I care about the other team's
No, I don't.
student
I don't
section?
think you care about the other.
Are you
teams.
raising your voice at me?
No, I'm just.
Yeah, you
talking
are.
to
Yeah, you are. Come on, dude.
No, he's
Come on, dude. Yes, you are. Everybody's standing here listening to you. Everybody, this is on camera. They can hear you. I answered the question. I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section. I coach UCLA. I don't care about Michigan State students. I mean, who cares?
The preparation.
I want it on a shirt. Are you raising your voice at me? Yes, you are. Want that on a shirt. That's going to be hard to contend with. But here are his contenders. The blue blood of this Final Four is UConn's Dan Hurley. He doesn't lose a lot, even though he lost to Creighton tonight. But when he does lose, his pressers, it's must win. It's must-see television. Here was Hurley earlier in the year after his Huskies lost at home in stores to Oregon, or to Arizona, pardon.
Sucks, and Taris being out, that we should have been -10 on the glass today. I mean, we got punked. We punked out. It's going to be a bad film session coming out of here where there are people. There's a street fight going on in the paint, and men can't watch fights. Men, you can't stand on the outside. When your buddies are in a fight, you get in the fight. You don't stand on the periphery of the fight, and I think we see a lot of clips where guys were, not in the fight with their teammates.
Don't know if that's the greatest message to send. Hey, you're not a man if you don't fight when other people are fighting around you. But his voice, his mannerisms, just magical. Really, something to behold. Blue blood quality post-game press conferences this guy gives when UConn loses. The feel-good Cinderella Final Four squad, Final Four representative, is NC State head coach Will Wade. He's in his first year with the Wolfpack, and he already has the Wolfpack as a borderline top 25 team. Probably should be in the NCAA tournament. Probably are going to be. He proclaimed that last year when the Wolfpack didn't even make the ACC tournament. Bottom 3 teams in that conference don't even make the conference tournament. And yet he's in his opening press conference saying, hey, it's going to be a reckoning. And part of the reckoning was saying you're going to beat North Carolina. And they beat North Carolina without Caleb Wilson or Henry Vesar by 24. Largest margin victory NC State's had over North Carolina in 64 years. However, when his team blew a 7-point lead in the final minute last Saturday against Miami, this is a home game too, 8-0 run in a minute to lose, he couldn't contain himself during his press conference.
We're a long way from the NCAA tournament. His team lost to Georgia Tech. I mean, damn, you're skipping way ahead. Worried about the NCAA tournament. Just hope we can get to Dayton. We're soft. We're a jump shooting team. That's who we are as a group. I'm not saying we got soft players, but that's who we are as a group. We're just a jump shooting team. I've had to embrace that. Miami, they have an identity. They're going to bludgeon you into paint. They're going to be physical. They have an identity. We have no identity. That's an indictment on this guy right here.
So good. D-Day, just the line and talking about his team not playing like a tournament team, saying the words, we lost to Georgia Tech. I mean, damn.
That I mean, damn. You seen that viral meme with Kevin Hart and Don Cheadle when Don Cheadle says it's 60 and Kevin Hart's like, damn. That was the Will Wade equivalent of that.
Happy 60th to Dr. Dre, by the way, today. I mean, damn. Lost to Georgia Tech. But there can only be one national champion, D-Day. in terms of the post-game press conference national championship. Who gets the Bob Knight Memorial Trophy that we're handing out here? And there can only be one champion this year. And that belongs to Kansas State head coach Jerome Tang. Why is he the winner? Because he actually became ex-Kansas State coach Jerome Tang after he said this a week ago tonight.
Hey, I'm gonna honor Christ like I always do. Blessed to do this, but this was embarrassing. These dudes do not deserve to wear this uniform. There will be very few of them in it next year. I'm embarrassed for the university. I'm embarrassed for our fans, our student section.
His Wildcats were beaten by 30 points. Beaten by 30 points. Cincinnati, not having a great year. Shout out to Wes Miller, though. 30-point L by Kansas State. The best part of that clip, and there's a lot there, such as these dudes don't deserve to be wearing that jersey. Great. Great way to put it. Can we just hear the first few seconds of this clip one more time? One more time.
Hey, I'm gonna honor Christ like I always do.
That's it. I'm gonna honor Christ like I always do by telling these group of teenagers that they don't deserve to be wearing the Kansas State Wildcat sick lavender fit jersey. You don't deserve it, D-Day.
That must have been in the lost chapter of Revelation. Tell a bad basketball team they don't deserve to wear the jersey.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So he's who that's the person I'm crowning. Unless somebody is telling me that we're missing someone. We have our final four of Mick Cronin, Dan Hurley, Will Wade, and Jerome Tang. And we're giving it to Tang because he actually lost his job. He didn't lose his job until the weekend, though. Did you see why that was? Did you see what the AD's excuse for keeping him another game was?
I did not see the excuse, no.
The AD said he was out of town on Wednesday, and he wasn't going to get back until the weekend. So he said, you know what? He could coach one more, and then I'll fire him in person.
I mean, you got to love a guy that fires him in person, right? You ever been fired on a Zoom before? It's not the most fun experience in the world.
You don't want to get broken up with over the phone. Who's been broken up with over the phone? Show of hands. Oliver, D-Day. I have. I've been
via
there.
text.
Oh, that's even worse.
I've also been fired via Zoom too, so I've cleared all the bases.
Yeah. That Zoom, Zoom breakup. Does anyone have any Zoom breakup stories? Would love to hear that. FaceTime. Hey, let's fire up FaceTime real quick. Well, hey, babe, what's happening? Yeah, we need to talk. Why is that? Can you please sit down? Are you already sitting down? I can't tell on your camera shot. Okay. Moving the train. 310-840-4910 if you want it. Up next, the one sport you could actually get away with getting rid of its draft. Keep it here on Westwood One Sports Night.
Westwood One, baby.
Will Tua Tagovailoa jumpstart his career in a new city like Baker Mayfield did? We're tracking quarterbacks on the move and what it means for the NFL on Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Wild day for Olympic men's hockey. Sets up the semifinals. We're 2 results away from getting the United States against Canada in a gold medal match Sunday morning, 8:10 Eastern time is when that would take place. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Still need a couple of results to go a certain way for us to arrive at that point. The United States on Friday face Slovakia, Canada facing Finland. That's also on Friday. Bronze medal match would be Saturday. Gold medal on Sunday. That will be the signature event of these Winter Olympics. But we could talk more about the wild day in hockey in just a bit. You probably will push back strongly on the idea that's about to be espoused, about to be proposed. Naturally, people don't like change, and that's understandable. But the more and more you think about something, the more and more you dig into the details of what it might look like, maybe your opinion gets changed on the subject. This is where I was. When it was first suggested, maybe the NBA would be wise to abolish the draft, to get rid of the draft. But the more you listen to smart people speak on it, the more you start looking at what practically could happen to get us to this place and what consequences, positive and negative, would come from it, it becomes clear that if there was a sport to take a dramatic step and do something drastically different than the other professional leagues in this country, basketball is the sport best positioned to get rid of the draft. It's the sport you could make a strong case can survive without it and maybe thrive without it. For one, basketball is a difficult sport to hoard talent in. You still can only play 5 players at one time. There's enough star power in the league right now for everybody to have really good players. We see it pretty well spread out right now. Also, great teams, they might already have their money tied up with just a few guys or might choose to not spend heavy on younger players coming out of the draft because they want guys, they don't have to wait 3, 4, sometimes 5 years to develop into players who can be top 3 stars winning titles for them at the moment. Don't forget, there's still a salary cap. And if you couple eliminating the draft with an idea that Stan Van Gundy has pushed for, this could work. Here was Stan Van Gundy on the Golick and Golick show earlier in the week.
The rank and file to vote it in is let's take out the individual max on players. So keep the salary cap where it is, but if you want to give 90% of your salary cap to one guy, great, because I think what we get now is some of these teams can put together super teams, 2 and 3 stars, because a guy will sacrifice $1 million or $2 million a year. He's not going to sacrifice 20 or 30 million a year. And I think if there was no individual max on players, you'd take those top 30 players in the league and spread them around the league because people would be getting $60, $70 million a year.
So eliminate the individual caps you put on players. Still keep the salary cap where it is, and then have those players coming out of the draft become free agents. And let the market then just figure things out. The NBA, here's the other piece why, honestly, basketball can afford to do this in a way the NFL could not. The NBA has already ruined the draft as a consumer product. Adam Silver has never really viewed college basketball as a partner the way Roger Goodell in the NFL always has with college football. Instead, Adam Silver, he tried to undercut college basketball. That's what he did with the G League path. It's what he did encouraging Ignites and the overtime elite leagues. Remember those leagues that until college basketball introduced NIL and revenue sharing were around for a few years? Well, that caused a few years where we didn't know who any of the players being taken at the top of the draft were. We never watched Scoot Henderson. We didn't watch Buzelis. We didn't watch the Thompson twins in Overtime Elite or in the G League path or in Ignite. We didn't watch that. Turns out people would much rather watch Duke or watch North Carolina or watch Kentucky than watch the Canton Charge, it turns out. Also, the NBA has never been able to figure out the issue with the hats on draft night. So just as a practical matter, watching the NBA draft, it's very confusing figuring out who's going where. Juxtapose this with the NFL, which has cities bidding to host the NFL draft every year. Nobody would miss the NBA draft if it went away. If it went away, nobody would miss it at all. And the other thing basketball is dealing with uniquely here is tanking at a level that no other league really has. There's no doubt that eliminating the draft would fix that problem. Would it create others? Maybe. But if you want to fix the tanking issue, there's no doubt that this would do it, because then there would be absolutely no incentive to be bad. And this isn't the only acceptable move for the NBA. This isn't going as far to say the NBA needs to abolish the draft. But one thing feels for certain. Half-measure solutions, such as, hey, we're going to limit the pick protections you can do. No more top 8 protected picks. Ooh, that's not acceptable. Adam Silver needs to be bold. Revoke a draft pick. Get rid of the draft altogether. Do something dramatic. Do something bold that's going to change things in the NBA that need changing. And basketball is the one sport that feasibly you could get rid of the draft if you want to. 310-840-4910. What do you think about the idea of getting rid of the draft altogether? James in Georgia, you're up first. James, at first, I didn't like the idea. At first, it made no sense to me. But then when I hear Stan Van Gundy speak about it, and then when I really think about it, I don't think we'd miss the draft, and I think it would fix the problems that we're currently talking about in the league. What do you think about the idea?
Well, I think the NBA draft, Josh, is a way for people, especially people that follow college basketball a lot, is to follow their players so they lock them their teams on into the pros, and it gives you an idea of where your team's at and what they're and how much they're able to improve, So without the draft, you're sort of in the dark about what's going on, and I think you need it for the fans, just as much as you do anything, just so.
Well, here's the problem. Here's the problem. If it was like the NFL draft, I'd agree with you. But my issue is when I watch the NBA draft, I don't know where guys are going anyway, because 75% of the time they're wearing the wrong hat. I don't even know where they're going.
They need to sort of fix that part of it. And Josh, I wanted to ask you another thing too, because we're talking about the status of drafts, But what's your take on what Major League Baseball's draft? Because hardly nobody, but I know of, follows it, and they go right into the farm leagues, And I was wondering if there's a way you think they could improve that, because I think the Major League Baseball draft is a lot worse off than the NBA draft as far as popularity and whether or not people follow it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I'll say this, and I appreciate the call, James. It's a developmental draft. The problem baseball faces is they have it during the season. Now I think it's part of the All-Star weekend, which I think is actually pretty wise. Hey, there aren't games being played. If we're going to have it during the season, let's not have it while there's actually games conflicting with it. And I think with it being in baseball, so many levels existing before you get to the majors. Now, minor league baseball has been consolidated a lot than where it was 10, 15 years ago. Not as many steps from where college players are entering baseball organizations to the majors. It takes a longer time. That's why it's damaged as an entertainment vehicle, as a consumer product. But it is getting better. It's been getting better in recent years for two reasons. One, that consolidation I just mentioned, it helps because, well, guys you just watched play in the College World Series and play in college baseball, they're now getting to the majors quicker. Paul Skeens is a great example. Nick Kurtz, who won Rookie of the Year for the Athletics, he was playing for the Athletics less than a year after he finished playing collegiate baseball. It has been consolidated, and because of that, I think there's been more of a push to make college baseball more of an entertaining product to watch. More college baseball is being watched, specifically the NCAA tournament, more than it used to be. And I think if stars are created in college baseball and the path for them to get to the majors is smaller, that's going to lead to the improvement of the product. But you're right, the NBA draft product is better than the MLB product, but Major League Baseball isn't dealing with the same issues that the NBA is dealing with. So there is no dramatic necessity, if you will, to try to solve tanking in Major League Baseball. Or they did take some steps that helped encourage teams not to do what the Houston Astros did last decade, or some other teams. You could probably check that box too. 310-840-4910 if you want in. As promised, getting to Olympic hockey. So the Americans have been rolling. Canada, Denton Day, had won its previous 3 matches going into today by a combined margin of 20-3. 20-3, they won their first 3 games. Today, Canada faced the Czechs, and the Canadians were in an outright war the entire way. Trailing 2-1 after 1. Sidney Crosby getting roughed up. He's apparently going to have MRIs done on his lower body. He had to leave the game. That's going to lead to some conversation about why are NHL players playing in the Olympics if star players could go down, such as Sidney Crosby. We'll see what his status is ahead of the semifinal coming up on Friday. But Canada trailed for a lot of this game. Nate McKinnon tied it up in the second. It went to the third. Final 10 minutes. Palat scored to put the Czechs in front 3-2. And with about 4 minutes to go, Suzuki ties it up. And then Mitch Marner 3-on-3 OT with a beauty on the backhand to win it for the Canadians 4-3 in Milan. And then the Americans face Sweden. Very evenly matched game. No score in the first. The United States gets a marker in the second. The Swedes get a marker in the third. And the United States gets the winner from Quinn Hughes. Austin Matthews with an assist on it. He's been fabulous this entire tournament so far. The United States gets past Sweden, a team that was viewed as being pretty equal to the United States. 2-1 in OT. That sets up those semifinals that, again, will begin on Friday. Wild, wild stuff. There is one free agent quarterback that is being discussed way too much. And there's another quarterback that is shockingly not being talked about enough. Those QBs, next on Westwood One Sports Night.
Could Kyler Murray be next year's Sam Darnold? In a new home, we're tracking quarterbacks on the move and what it means for the NFL on Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
A question we're asking today. Who is the most appealing free agent quarterback in this year's class? 310-840-4910 if you want in on the program. Our guest today is the most entertaining sports talk guest out there. B-Dot is going to join us a half hour from now. But getting into free agent quarterbacks, there really is only 3 names to consider at the top of this class, and none of them are perfect. Far from it. Aaron Rodgers, 42 years old. Malik Willis, only 6 starts in his NFL career. And then Daniel Jones coming off of an Achilles injury. Which of those 3 most appealing? 310-840-4910. It's a little surprising that the discourse we've seen so far, less than a month away from free agency starting, seems to point to Malik Willis being the favorite. The prize of this free agent class, if you will. But frankly, it should be Aaron Rodgers. The other alternatives, by the way, this is not supposed to be a huge compliment to any of these quarterbacks to be considered the prize of this free agent class of quarterbacks. You got Russell Wilson. You got Joe Flacco. Maybe Jimmy G, Kenny Pickett. The Falcons are expected to release Kirk Cousins before free agency begins. But would you take either of those guys over the 3 that we named? Probably not. So it's more of an indictment of this class than anything else. But Aaron Rodgers is the guy that if you need a quarterback this year, why not Aaron? He should be the preference over Malik Willis. He should be the preference over Daniel Jones. This goes back to perception. The perception that Aaron Rodgers wasn't good last year is insane. It's ridiculous. And it feels as if some of that perception is fueled by non-football reasons. Personality quirks, opinions he's espoused off the field, rather than straight data, straight statistics, analytics, performance. Because the reality is that last season was his best year in 5 seasons. By whatever metric you care to look at, 24 touchdown passes, just 7 picks. He had a better passer rating than the following quarterbacks: Caleb Williams, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, C.J. Stroud, Baker Mayfield. Most of those guys were in the playoffs. And you know who else was in the playoffs? Aaron freaking Rodgers. He went 10-7. So if the numbers say he's not all that bad, he's actually pretty good. If the team record says, hey, whoever's leading this team to 10 wins, he can help your football team, then why isn't he being discussed as the center of, hey, Aaron Rodgers is a free agent. You should be trying to woo this quarterback to play for you. He's not seeking anything long-term, so it's less risk, really, to bring in Aaron Rodgers than it would be to commit multiple years, perhaps, to Daniel Jones or to Malik Willis. Malik Willis, who, again, has played... He started in 6 games in his career. Mid-round talent. Out of Liberty. Aaron Rodgers, future Hall of Famer. What are we doing here? This honestly doesn't feel like much of a debate. And if there are 2 teams that make sense for potentially landing Aaron Rodgers, the obvious one is Pittsburgh. It's where he was this past year. It depends a lot on what his relationship currently with Mike McCarthy looks like. Only they can really answer what that is. Mike McCarthy, of course, was Aaron Rodgers' coach back in Green Bay. And then there's the Indianapolis Colts. If you're the Colts, that should be the most appealing destination to Aaron. That was a team trying to contend last year. Don't follow the words, follow the actions. That's a team that at the deadline traded multiple first-round draft picks to bring in Sauce Gardner. They thought they had a contender. Then Daniel Jones suffered an Achilles injury. They're trying to win right now. And that's what Aaron Rodgers wants. And the Colts should want the best option to potentially do that this year, and that's Aaron Rodgers. So there's the Steelers. There's the Colts. The Miami Dolphins are an interesting team. They still have some weapons. However, they seem willing to move on from Tyreek, and they do have a new GM and a coach, and that probably is the best place for Malik Willis, if we're being honest. Halfley and John Eric Sullivan, the GM and coach, they both came from Green Bay, where Malik Willis is. It's new. They're trying to build that thing up. The Jets and Cardinals, they're QB-needy teams, but they seem more poised to draft a quarterback. Maybe not with their first picks. The Jets picking second, the Cardinals picking third. That's a bit too rich for this year's QB class to take the second guy off the board. But the Jets do have 2 first-rounders. They have the 16th pick, which belonged, again, to the Colts. The Cardinals, they might use their early second, their early third-rounder if they like one of these guys and can take a swing. Last year, how many people were talking about how excited they were for Louisville quarterback Tyler Shuck? Not all that many. Weren't a ton of people telling us how excited they were for Jackson Dart. And then those guys are taken well outside the top 20 of the draft. And if you look at the Saints and Giants outlooks, they feel pretty good about their quarterback situation moving forward. So the Jets and Cardinals strike me as teams that will look at the Ty Simpson camp or the Garrett Nussmeier camp or Carson Beck maybe and say, all right, we see some tools here. We watch this at the Combine. There might be something that we can work with. But who would you prefer be your team's quarterback if the options were Aaron Rodgers, Malik Willis, or Daniel Jones? 310-840-4910 if you want in. This story's been buried on the show, and for that I apologize. Because Denton Day is usually pretty reserved. Like, he got to watch the greatest rivalry in sports in person, Duke, Carolina, and he watched one of the greatest games in that rivalry in person. First time he's ever experienced it. And Denton Day's reaction when I walk up to him moments after Seth Trimble hits the shot. Hey, man, what'd you think of that? And you said, that was pretty freaking cool. That's Denton Day's reaction. And it was. Denton Day was more fired up about this topic we're about to get to right now than he was watching Seth Trimble hit a game-winning shot pretty much at the buzzer to beat Duke in person. And this topic involves Kevin Durant.
It does. I think he's being falsely accused. I think he's been falsely accused.
You believe injustice is happening here.
I think injustice has happened with the latest Kevin Durant burner scandal that has taken over social media. It happened during the All-Star game, Josh, or like a little bit before the All-Star game, so everyone had eyes on Kevin Durant. But there was pictures that went viral from an account called GetHigher77 that was in a Twitter group chat, which I didn't know you could really do those. But they were in a Twitter.
Different than Get Off My Dickerson?
It's the same thing.
Okay.
The account is at GetHigher77, but the name is Get Off My Dickerson. Yes, that is correct.
Got it.
So it's the same person, right? They were in this group chat, and there were some things that were being said from a first-person perspective that could have been tied back to Kevin Durant. He called one of his teammates a very not nice name that we can't say on radio anymore out of fear of being canceled. He said,
Smith?
Yeah, Jabari Smith. He said the rest of his young players on the Rockets are just not very good. He called, this was my favorite one because it was actually kind of funny. He called Russell Westbrook a cocaine bear. I was like, he could have been,
And
just
the
been talking
allegations
about the movie.
that he said this over the weekend, not that he said this when Cocaine Bear had just come out and Russell Westbrook was playing with him.
I don't know that we know that for sure, but it was definitely post, Cocaine Bear, the movie, because the timeline matched it up. He was already on the Warriors. We know that for sure. We don't know when exactly he said it. It just came out publicly, but he obviously wouldn't say something about Jabari Smith if he wasn't playing with Jabari Smith. Then he also called Devin Booker a dictator and then referenced or tied him to other famous dictators. And here's the thing. I think people ran with this narrative because Kevin Durant is who he is on social media. He's had incidents with burners in the past, which I think makes this a little bit easier for the mind to comprehend. But I don't believe it was him, Josh, because I think Kevin Durant has graduated to a point in his life where he would just say this on a normal account. I don't think he needs to hide it anymore.
And, we have sound from Kevin Durant giving power to this conversation because he acknowledged Burnergate here.
handle field goals at higher 7-7? Is that your account for 7 best?
I know you got to ask these questions, but I'm not here to get into Twitter nonsense. I'm just here to focus on the season, keep it pushing. But I know I get that answer. My teammates know what it is. We've been locked in the whole season. Enjoyed our break. Had a great practice today. Looking forward to the road trip.
By the way, do you know who directed Cocaine Bear?
No.
The comedic actress Elizabeth Banks did that. Who
She was
you
in
might
Pitch
know
Perfect.
is correct. Also, she was like the analyst, one of the analysts at the, what do we call those?
The sing-off, the events, the award ceremonies. Then she went
Correct.
international for Pitch Perfect 2, and then I think she
Also
was in
known
Pitch
for
Perfect
her
3.
performance in 40-Year-Old Virgin, Zack and Miri, Role Models. She's done a lot. Hunger Games. She's known from, but she directed Cocaine Bear.
I didn't see
Thought I
it.
should.
You'll be stunned to
I
know.
haven't either. I was about to ask, is it good?
Wait, you haven't seen Cocaine Bear? I feel like that's right up your
I
alley.
haven't. No, I hadn't seen Cocaine Bear, but I assume it was Oscar-winning stuff. Did it? Fake KD also have things to say about Frank Vogel and Devin Booker?
Yeah, he compared Frank Vogel and Devin Booker to it was Mussolini and another famous dictator, which is not very
so
nice.
specific dictators, not
Yeah,
that they
yeah,
were
yeah.
dictators.
It might have been
Okay.
Mussolini and Stalin. Not very nice. I don't think.
Fake
I don't know
news.
what Devin Booker does in his free time, but he's not that bad. I can promise you that.
I do find it fascinating how Kevin Durant is going to be remembered one day. Because this is going to be part of it, not specifically this, but the pass burner stuff, and then joining the Warriors, and it's going to be part of it, sadly.
I don't hate him
Even
for
though-
the Warriors bit. The burner stuff is kind of weird, though.
It is, and honestly, there's a lot that you could compare Kevin. There might be some through lines between some of the weird personality quirks of Kevin Durant and Aaron Rodgers. Maybe not some of the opinions specifically, but in terms of the quirkiness where you kind of are wondering, what? Why did he do that? Huh? What? There might be some there. Speaking of that, who is the best free agent quarterback available? 310-840-4910. We want to get to those phone calls. Also, did you know that the Final Four in college basketball has actually been rescheduled to this weekend? That is next on Westwood One Sports Night.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham,
Aaron Rodgers, Malik Willis, Daniel Jones. These are the top free agent quarterbacks available for the purposes of this conversation. Let's assume that Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing this year. Which of the three would you want quarterbacking your team if those are the three options available to your team? 310-840-4910 if you want in. Mike, who's in Detroit, has the answer. Mike, who are you taking?
Good evening. I'm definitely going to take Daniel Jones. The thing is I think Aaron Rodgers, if he stays anywhere, he's going to go to Pittsburgh, right? And Willis is unproven.
Well, let's say for this hypothetical, are you a Lions fan? Are you in Detroit?
I am a Lions fan.
Okay, let's say hypothetically Jared Goff decides to ride in a vehicle with LaMelo Ball and they get in a car accident. LaMelo's fine, by the way, so we can make all the jokes in the world. But in this hypothetical sense, Jared Goff breaks his leg. Oh, no. We need a new quarterback this year. And those are your three options to quarterback the Detroit Lions. Who do you want to quarterback the Detroit Lions between Daniel Jones, Aaron Rodgers, or Malik Willis?
Give me Danny Dimes. You know, he's more mobile than the other guys. He's good, but I love Goff, so I hope nothing happens to him.
I hope not either. I love Jared Goff as well, but the reason I push back is you talk about his mobility. Well, he's getting up there in age too, and he's coming off an Achilles injury. We don't even know if he's going to be ready for the start of the season.
Well, I didn't say he was, but compared to Willis is a mobile guy too, but he's just unproven. And Rodgers, if he goes anywhere, I think he's going to go back to the Steelers. And
I'm not talking about whether he's going to go to the Steelers. I'm saying you have 3 quarterbacks available. Which of the 3 do you want quarterbacking their team? If I'm going to tell you all 3 say yes, they're going to say yes to your team. You can pick one of the 3.
Daniel Jones, he's going to be. I think he was having Rodgers isn't. He's not the Rodgers of old. He's still good, but I would still take Daniel Jones. And you mentioned college basketball. Go Michigan.
There you go. Michigan on Saturday. D-Day is going to be at the Duke game in D.C. Appreciate the phone call from Detroit, Mike. Did I ever tell you how Daniel Jones in part won over the Manning whisperer David Cutcliffe, who was at Duke when Daniel Jones was there? David Cutcliffe, who was Eli Manning's head coach at Ole Miss, Peyton Manning's quarterback coach at Tennessee. We ever get to that story? Sometimes we're like an old couple, D-Day, and I tell the same stories over and over again.
You have not shared this one, so I'm sitting down with my blankie by a fire ready to listen.
David Cutcliffe, I asked him, when did Daniel Jones, I believe out of Charlotte Catholic in Charlotte, North Carolina, win you over? When did he win you over? And he said, Daniel Jones won me over at lunch. Huh? He said, one stealth thing that he does to try to weed out guys who won't cut it as college quarterbacks, and certainly not in the future as NFL quarterbacks, is going to a restaurant spot in these guys' hometown and seeing how decisive these quarterbacks were. Did they know? Were they able to look at a menu and know immediately what they want, or were they wavering at all? Did it take them more time to process the information before selecting their option? And David Cutcliffe said Daniel Jones was very decisive, and he knew he wanted that decisiveness in a college quarterback. And he went to Duke, ended up being a top 10 pick. So there you go, D-Day. How would you do as a quarterback, or in terms of being a quarterback prospect, being taken to lunch by a coach? Would you be very decisive and win them over, or if you're hypothetically at the Cheesecake Factory, are you looking at the menu 3-4 times over and really struggling?
I'm a panic orderer in an event like
Pancake orderer or a panic?
No, panic orderer, because there's so much pressure. And I'm like, oh my God, like I need to make sure that I'm getting this order right. I've done this before when I was very early in my journalism career. A coach hit me up. He was a high school coach, and he said, Denton, I want to take you out to lunch so we can get to know each other. And I was like, this is great. I'm building sources. Like, this is going to be wonderful. And I show up to this lunch. It's at an Applebee's. Well, Josh, I don't like Applebee's that much. It's just not my bag. But it's in Bedford, Virginia. There's not a lot of other restaurants other than an Applebee's or like a Long John Silver's, which guess what? I didn't want to go there either. So I panicked. I was like, I don't eat anything at Applebee's. I ended up getting like some chicken nuggets, if you will. I guess they were boneless wings is what they were called.
What about the 2 for $20?
I don't know that was a thing then.
Well, that's been around for a while, my friend.
How long has that been around for?
Decades.
Well, here's why I panicked. I didn't know what to get. I was like, I need to keep it. I don't know who's paying. Like, I don't know what the deal is here. So I kept it like light. So I don't think I got buffalo wings. I got something else that was like light, that was easy. This dude orders a quesadilla cheeseburger. Now, you're probably like, was this like a quesadilla with hamburger meat? No. It was a hamburger that also had a quesadilla inside of the hamburger. It was like burger, quesadilla, bun. It was the most grotesque thing I've ever seen. It was well over 3,000 calories. He ate the entire thing.
You should know this. We are turning into an old married couple because I've heard this story before. But it's still a great story.
It's an insane story. And then he tried to pitch me on something that I was like, I am not the target audience for this at all. And it didn't work out.
You know, this is what you did. A chicken nugget panic attack from Pine Needle. You can, by the way, watch the show in addition to listen to it on YouTube, searching Westwood One Sports Night. And we encourage you to do that. Also, streaming on X at Josh Graham Show. Big time. Big time Daniel Jones. Never asked what he ordered or what restaurant they went to. Maybe one of these times when we get Daniel Jones on, we can try to figure all that out. As promised, let's talk March Madness. Do we have the song that I would nominate to be America's new national anthem if it wasn't the Star Spangled Banner? Like, if the Star Spangled Banner, you remember that one time, I forget what country it was. They were banned from the Olympics, but some athletes were able to represent that country. I think it was, I forget what country it was. Summer Olympics, circa, I don't know, 2018, 2016. They had an alternative anthem because that country they came from, they were banned, that country, but they were able to still participate, and they had an alternative anthem. If I was nominating something, it would be the March Madness theme. That's what it would be. That's where I would turn to. In fact, at this time of year, I would play the March Madness theme on a loop for probably the next month and a half, because you might not have realized this yet, but March Madness actually starts this week. Not in March. It actually starts this week. And you got to be ready for it, because you could actually make the case that the Final Four has been rescheduled. Rescheduled from the first weekend in April to this Saturday. Did you know that the Final Four is actually this weekend? Because we got number 4 Arizona facing number 2 Houston. And we got number 3 Duke going up against number 1 Michigan. Are you kidding me? 3 p.m. ABC, Arizona, Houston. Houston coming off collapsing at Iowa State and Ames on Monday. Arizona won tonight against BYU. BYU without Richie Saunders. Koa Pete not going to play this week. Reevaluated at the start of next week is the reporting. They snap a 2-game losing streak after starting 23-0. They get the win tonight against BYU. Duke, Michigan, the main event, though. Purdue just was handled at Mackey by Michigan last night. Duke beat Syracuse by 37. Denton Day's going to be in the building for it. Is Linnell Willingham going to be in the building?
We are optimistic. As long as he is feeling happy and healthy, he will be there.
Okay. We going to get instant reaction somehow out of Linnell Willingham to college basketball? Being watched, being seen? He says it's been a few years since he's watched college basketball.
If he's in attendance, we will get something for the content game that'll be available on our YouTube, so you better go subscribe to our YouTube.
I think the calendar year 2023 was the last time Linnell went to a college basketball game, he told us. What a game to go to. The only thing I could think that's even cooler than that is Duke facing Carolina and Carolina winning a shot in the last second. Oh, wait! D-Day. He actually got to see that, his first college basketball game since the pandemic. You're having yourself a month. Enjoy that. But the madness, it's essentially here already. The calendar quite literally flips to March next weekend. Then you have the close of the regular season the following week, including Duke Carolina Part 2. I'll be in the building for that. Part 2, that's going to be broadcast on Westwood One Sports. Then you have conference tournament week, which may be an unpopular opinion, something we could espouse quickly or espouse later on. Maybe better than any other week of the college season, conference tournament week. Even better than the actual NCAA tournament. So now's the time to climb aboard. A year after one of the chalkiest tournaments we've ever seen, this year's dance, it should be an all-timer. There aren't any overwhelmingly dominant teams. Nothing like we had last year where it was obvious one of the 4 top teams last year was going to win the national title. And those 4 teams ended up in the Final Four. First time in nearly 20 years that happened. 2007, the last time that happened. And, this year's different. Personally, there are 3 tiers of teams that can win it all. D-Day, let me know if there's anything missing or anything you'd subtract. Got 5 in the top tier. Michigan, Houston, Arizona, Duke, UConn. Those teams, you don't need to explain anything about it. We understand it. Yep, they're legit national title contenders. No questions asked. Then you got 7 teams I'll put in the resume says you're a contender, but don't fully trust it yet. This is Iowa State. This is Gonzaga. This is Kansas. This is Illinois. This is Nebraska. This is Florida. My math sucks. That's 6 teams. So now we're at 11. One more, and then I just have a wild card. One wild card. And that's the North Carolina Tar Heels. Without Caleb Wilson and Henry Vessar, North Carolina can lose to NC State by 24 as they did yesterday. But with both those players in the fold, which they're expected to have by the time the tournament starts, certainly, they're in the second group. So that's right there, 12 teams. 12 that can win a national championship. And had to subtract a couple of teams in the past week. 2 teams that are write-offs due to injury. Sorry, JT Toppin today. Such a blow to Texas Tech. But without JT Toppin, who tore his ACL, you're not winning a title at Texas Tech. Richie Saunders down at BYU, as great as A.J. DeBonsa was, they never really got all that close to Arizona tonight. And how many did DeBonsa go for tonight, D-Day? Did we have a final number?
North of 30, I think the final number, let me just make sure I didn't get garbage time points, but I think the final number was 33.
Sheesh. So you get 33 from A.J. DeBonsa, and you're still
35.
Losing.
35.
Yeah, 35 for A.J. DeBonsa. So there you go. Don't have 2 of the better Big 12 teams in there at Texas Tech or BYU. Those are my 12. Those are the 12 that can win a national championship. Would you subtract or add any more teams to the tiers that we have?
I would, in your wild card, I would definitively put the Jayhawks in the wild card.
No. I have them in the second category.
I'd put them in the wild card.
Oh,
so I'd make
would
the
put them
adjustment.
into a different tier. But are there teams altogether that need to be bumped out or put in? Like we have the right 13 teams here.
I would say, yeah, I would say. Wait, hold on. Let me just make sure I'm getting this correctly. Did you say Purdue?
Yes.
All right, no, we got to get them out.
Come on.
You got to get them out.
I mean,
you got to get them out.
It's guards win in March. Braden Smith.
I know. Get them out.
No, come on.
Out.
No, I'm just saying. I'm not saying they're gonna win the title. I'm just saying I can't write them off.
I have in pen. Almost, if I had Sharpies, I would write them off in Sharpie.
So you're gonna write off Purdue and not Nebraska?
I'd write them off too.
No, so now we're down to 11 that can win championships.
We're down to 11. I am slashing this thing. I would take Purdue out. I would take Nebraska out.
What about Gonzaga?
I trust Mark Few.
Iowa State.
Graham Ike, front of the program too. We got to root for our own.
It's true. We need to get Graham Ike back on the program when we're pronouncing his name right off the rip. Need to do that. Okay. And you would subtract it to 11. Man, 11's not a good round number. It'd be better if we had 10. So North Carolina you're good with. Illinois.
North Carolina with
Kansas.
Caleb Wilson. Yeah. But in the wild card spot.
Iowa State. And then the Big Five. You agree with the 5 being in the top tier? Michigan,
Yes.
Houston, Arizona, Duke.
Yes, I do. I'd be curious as to how you would rank those 5, because we might rank them differently, but I would say that those 5 have separation from the second category.
Since you have interest in that, let me think about it, and we'll do that on tomorrow's show.
Okay.
Let me think about it. Want to give it some more thought. When the most entertaining guest in sports talk, B. Dot, joins the show, be prepared for a surprise cameo. Plus grammar school when Dot joins us next.
Westwood One, baby.
Will Tua Tagovailoa jumpstart his career in a new city like Baker Mayfield did? We're tracking quarterbacks on the move and what it means for the NFL on Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
The most entertaining guest in sports talk is B-Dot. He joins us each and every week. But before we get into grammar school, which is the normal fun that we dabble in, by the way, that's Linnell Willingham. I'm Josh Graham. We have been discussing the state of the NBA, and Linnell and I are on different sides of this. On one end of the argument, there's the argument that the league is in a better place because of the young talent that we see. There's so much talent across the league. But then there's the other side of the coin that points to the tanking issue. That's become a hot topic within the sport, certainly in the last few weeks. Where are you on the state of the NBA as somebody who loves the league as much as you do, Dot?
I hate the tanking. I've never been a fan of the tanking, understanding it. But most of the times when teams try to tank, it always comes to bite them in the butt. I think Philly's still up there, still trying to trust the process, if you will. But I like the direction that the All-Star game went. I think they finally figured that out, because there's one thing that you can do to make them boys play tough, and it's pride, man. The pride. The reason why the youngsters whooped up on the old heads in their championship game is because the old heads played their championship game when they beat Victor and them. Like, that was pride. They were not going to lose to the world. They hear the conversations. Now, if they lose to the future of the NBA with what's my boy?
Ant Edwards.
Yeah, with Ant and them boys, that's okay. We supposed to lose to that. We don't mind passing the baton there. But the world coming here, we giving them belt. And I like the way that they've upgraded the All-Star game in that position. I think they should flip it and put the dunk contest early and have the three-point contest as the highlight feature event, because that's really what we want to see. We want to see they'll shoot the lights out. That's what the NBA is now. So I think they fixed the All-Star game weekend festivities. I think Phoenix is going to be lit next year. But as for tanking, I don't know how you fix that. I see them trying to put all these different restraints on it and punishments and or consequences, and but I don't know if you can fix it, man, because at the end of the day, the coach can play who he wants to play, and it can look like tanking. But if he says that he's doing it for the betterment of this, like, what do you do? Who do you argue with?
Get rid of the draft. That's what you do.
You get rid of the draft in totality?
That's the craziest thing that anyone's ever come up with.
No,
the idea of getting rid of the draft. I think
basketball.
Well,
I think small market teams that aren't as close to winning might be willing to spend more on that talent. The salary cap still exists. This isn't baseball. So if teams have players' contracts that they're tied up into, you still only get to play 5 guys at the same time. It's something that we've discussed, but just something that has been thrown out there. If you have nothing to tank for, then there would be no need to tank.
But then, so where do guys from college and stuff? How do they get to the NBA? How do you do that?
They're free agents. They're free agents.
That's
dumb. See what I'm saying? It just sounds like it's doing too much.
Yeah,
I think the NBA needs to do too much. I think we need no more half measures. We got to adjust the pick protections. No, we need something that shows that you're willing to take a dramatic step.
I think they should make them play for it. Like, have a tournament at season's end. And that determines who gets the pick and how the order goes. You should earn it. And it's another opportunity for the NBA to earn money, because ratings, TV, you would have to, that would be additional TV dollars.
Well, but then you're punishing a team that's not bad because they're trying to be bad, but they're just legitimately bad. Like, I'm saying the Wizards, for example, you're a Wizards fan. Like, they're just bad. So, what do you mean you got to earn it?
Yeah, easy on the damn Wizards slander, pal.
I mean, he's right.
They're not trying. They're not trying to be bad. They're just bad.
I know.
The Wizards ain't been good. The Wizards ain't been good since Mickey Mouse was in that Fantasia movie.
Damn. Mickey Mouse was in a Fed.
Wow. There we go. It's been a minute. But hey, that's not the reason we brought Dot in here.
My head. I don't play about Fantasia.
We got
She's
B-Dot.
She's one of the most successful stories in Black culture.
There's a cartoon. There's a cartoon called Fantasia, and Mickey Mouse plays a wizard.
It's true.
Oh, so you're not talking about American Idol?
I would never talk about Fantasia. We're from the same area. She's from High Point. I'm from Greensboro. That's my sister.
She's from the Kakalakis?
Yeah, she's from about 20 minutes from where I sit right now.
There's
no doubt. Shout out to Fantasia. Now let's shout out to B-Dot and let the chef cook. Let him do what he's here to do, which is to take us to grammar school. Okay, remind the people of what the rules are, Dot.
Simple. I have 3 words or phrases here that are used in the urban vernacular. in attempts to get Josh more hip when he's in these locker rooms, when he's having interviews, and even when he's just having conversations with Linnell. If Josh can get 2 out of 3 correct, then Josh gets a satisfactory grade. If he does not, then we just laugh at him, and it's really more of the norm of that's been going on to start this season.
It sounds like he needs a version of grammar school if he didn't get a Fantasia reference with Mickey Mouse.
I don't know what like maybe he needs to do your TV shows. Maybe he hasn't watched enough TV, Josh.
No, he didn't know who Robert Duvall was via text earlier this week. Robert Duvall passed and had to remind him.
Duvall I know is Lou.
Yeah, same. Duval. But the reality is, if you had to tell me name 2 Robert Duvall movies, I wouldn't be able to do it. But if I saw him, I would be like, oh, that's the dude from. We don't do good with names like that, Josh.
Godfather Part 1 and 2, and also Kicking and Screaming with Will Ferrell.
I know that movie.
Well, Robert Duvall's the dad. That's Robert Duvall.
Can I be honest?
Yeah, that
guy. Can I tell a story on the air? That's why I love these things are always organic. I lost my virginity to Kicking and Screaming.
What?
That was the movie that was on in the background when I lost my virginity.
Why?
The background is crazy.
Why? Because, well, you know how it goes. It was just
why that movie? Why was that movie on?
I think it was an early morning. So she lived in my neighborhood. It was in the summer, and I didn't go to summer camp because I was bad as hell. So I just had the free crib all day long, and you know how FX at like 8 o'clock in the morning playing random movies. It was on FX. I'll never forget that.
Oh, so FX was on setting the scene, setting the mood for a young. How old were you?
I think it was Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was on before that.
How old were you?
If you really know FX in the morning, you know I'm not capping. Like you know the FX rundown in the morning. FX was feeding families.
Okay. Oh, how old were you?
It's like 15.
All right, shout out. There you go.
That's incredible.
That's an amazing. Kicking and screaming. Robert Duvall. That you should have given the guy his flowers this week.
Facts. You knew exactly who it was. He had you with a young lady in the buck. His shoulders just.
I mean, he had his soccer ball that was kicked by Maradona or whatever, Pelé in the movie, and you look up and say, "Oh, that's pretty good acting right there. That guy's pretty good."
Mike Ditka was the star at Kicking and Screaming. What bad they are.
Hey, the movie wasn't the only thing kicking and screaming. That's all we said.
Okay. What's the first grammar school word? Or did you even have time to? Yeah, you explained it pretty well. What do we have?
What's guap? G-U-A-P, Josh. Guap.
This is not to be confused with there's Lil Goo-Wop, right?
No, it's Big Goo-Wop.
Big Goo-Wop.
First of all.
Sorry.
And who is Big Goo-Wop, since you want to jump out there?
Gucci?
And what's your favorite Gucci song?
I personally like Lemonade.
I know. Now say your line from Lemonade.
Lemon.
All right.
Burr.
It's like a magic trick I do. All right, kids, gather around. Josh, come out. Who's Big Goo-Wop?
Lemon. Burr. All right. What do we have?
Guap. What's guap, Josh?
Guap.
You're stalling.
I'm gonna say guap. That sounds like some iteration of cash. Give me some guap, some cash.
100% correct. 100% correct.
Is it spelled the same? Is that spelled G-U-A-P?
That is correct.
All right, got
it. Josh, can I interject here for a hot second? If someone speaks Guapanese, Josh Graham.
I mean, they're talking about that paper. No?
Good job. Yeah.
I love when you can apply what you learn in the classroom on the field.
I like what you just did.
After the story you just told a few minutes ago, you're welcome to interject as much as you like. Oh, I remember Robert Duvall. Okay. What's next?
When I had this girl in the buck kicking and screaming. All right.
Man, oh man.
If somebody says I'm baby, what does that mean, Josh? I'm baby.
See, this is tough. Because.
And don't ask me.
I'm
telling you, I am tapping out of this one.
And your lifeline has ditched on you.
I'm baby.
I'm baby.
There are some things DaBaby did that I hope are some things that DaBaby noteworthy did in a noteworthy sense. Could it be qualified as him being baby?
No.
Okay.
I'm Baby has nothing to do with DaBaby, who is also from North Carolina.
Yeah. He's a huge Hornet fan. Hornets getting things fired.
He was so angry. He was on the road when they got the fighting against Detroit.
Oh my gosh.
He wanted to be out there.
What?
He wanted the swing. Moose couldn't get to Jalen Duren, so DaBaby would have done the job for him. Get out there. I don't know how that would have gone.
He's probably the most underrated rapper in the game at the moment. DaBaby can rap. He's really good at it.
And I don't know if he put on a Hornets jersey, if he'll be a good scorer or not, but I know he's a good shooter.
There we go.
Oh no!
I saw him and Gilly going at it.
Did we really have to do that? That's another thing that went over Linnell's head right there. Right.
Oh,
there.
You're talking about his attempted murder?
Yeah, that thing. Was that it? What? Where? That was in Greensboro, right?
No, that was in Charlotte at the Walmart.
Oh, it was at a Walmart. Got it.
Superstore or
I don't know if it was a superstore or
Neighborhood Mart. I don't know the answer to what is baby, so I'm just gonna say it's being useless, man. You baby, like you need too much help. You rely on people too much, like someone's being baby.
If someone says I'm baby, Josh Graham, it means to describe something that you're not good at. You're a novice.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Sense. I could see that being a thing. Stupid, but I could see it being a thing.
That's what they say. That's Gen Z slang right there. Okay. So be hip. When you're in there now and you want to talk to Cam Boozer, or it's like, yo, like, why didn't you get a double tonight? It's like, you might just say, listen, man, I'm baby. Like, I'm new at this. I'm new. I'm a freshman. Moving right along. What is, last but not least, Josh, you have to get this correct in order to move ahead in the satisfactory grade. Okay. Dupe. D-U-P-E. Dupe.
Is it the same? Can you get duped? Is that like the same type of dupe?
No.
Well, I might as well use my lifeline just to see what he thinks.
I don't got a damn thing for you. I'm gonna tell you what my grandmother used to say to me whenever I come begging. I don't got a damn thing for you.
Wow.
Dupe.
I
think we're moving into like slang that I would say is champ. Dupe.
Or Bama.
Look how giddy he got to use it.
Or Bama. All right.
Write all these down. Dupe. Fine. I think I'll just go that route and say, so you say something is dupe.
No, something is a dupe. It's a noun.
Oh, then something's a goofball. Like
well,
somebody.
No. I think it could honestly be used more as an adjective.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's more an adjective than a noun, Josh, if I'm being 100% correct. When I think about using it, when I use it in sentences in my mind right now.
It's probably,
use it in a sentence for me,
probably
please.
negative. It's probably negative.
I that's what I'm thinking too, but use it in a sentence.
If you were to say, Dot, am I using it right? That dupe ass haircut?
No.
So I don't know. Maybe it's possible.
Well, use it in a sentence, Dot. You said it was a noun, then you said it was an adjective. So
right.
I need something.
But I feel like the only way I can use it in a sentence, it will give it away in totality.
Damn,
Okay.
Josh, you can pass 3-4
Could you
weeks
imagine? Could you imagine it like in the spelling bee? Someone said it's a noun. It's like no. Actually, it's an adjective. It's an adjective. Like, come on. I don't have a lifeline. I'm having the verb. I'm having the actual like article changing mid thing here. I feel like,
man, sometimes the verbiage can slip from a noun to a verb around here. You ever heard the way we use MF or B?
I'm going to say something's stupid if something's dupe or something's dumb. I think this is dumb. I think this is.
It wasn't negative. He said it wasn't negative, Josh.
No. He said the way you used it was wrong. He didn't say it wasn't negative.
Okay.
That is incorrect.
Okay, what is it?
It's a duplicate. It's a duplicate of something else. Like, but if it's of a lower value though, Like you might get a Chanel bag, but this looks like a Chanel bag, but it's not a real Chanel bag.
How is that an adjective?
Because I'm describing what your Chanel bag is. Your Chanel bag is a dupe.
That's a noun.
Is it similar to bootleg?
Yes,
that's a noun. That's a
100%.
noun. You just described a noun.
But it's an
It's a
adjective.
dupe. I'm describing what the bag is. The bag is a dupe.
So it's an adjective. Yeah.
Right.
If
dupe
it's
bag.
a dupe,
Yes.
it's a noun.
That's what I thought. That's why I said it's like a noun and an adjective. It's an adjective.
An adjective?
Yeah.
All right.
That sounds like let a naysayer know.
This edition of Grammar School's under protest. B-Dot.
What?
I
It's
didn't
an
know-
adjective.
An adjective. Got it, you guys. I didn't know. Maybe you didn't either. I'll make sure to go into the locker room and ask what their favorite adjective is next time I see players.
Nope.
that speak
Ask
a
him,
different
say,
language.
hey, are those real Kyrie Irvings or you got on some dupes? And watch his face turn and be like, yo, don't ever play me. Yeah, you'll never catch me in no dupe.
Dot, you threw us to break unintentionally last week. Would you like to throw us to break this week?
What word can I say?
Just do something.
Hey, man, just don't be a bitch. Keep listening to the show.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Shaquille O'Neal meme. I'm sorry, I wasn't familiar with your game. For you to pull Lupe Fiasco's superstar, you went up a few notches in my book, Oliver.
I do my very best.
Didn't know you had that. D-Day, did you ever get into Lupe Fiasco's work?
Hell yeah, bro. I love me some Lupe.
Battle Scars, banger. This is probably his biggest pop hit. The Show Goes On, another huge pop hit of his as well. There's one more.
You listen to the Samurai album? The concept album about Amy Winehouse if she was a samurai?
Did I? I'm all about mumble rap from the Samurai album. What else is on that album? There's that headband song. What's the title again? There's Lupe Fiasco. Gonna reiterate. Great work on Oliver's part. We're gonna make the main thing the main thing. It's about Oliver here. Also, Linnell Willingham not here in his normal Wednesday spot, but still making an enormous contribution to the show. Only he can be in one segment as part of our B-Dot conversation earlier and give us the gift of him, in fact, knowing Robert Duvall's work in one context. That Kicking and Screaming, the soccer movie with Will Ferrell, where Robert Duvall is playing Will Ferrell's father, was on in the background as Linnell Willingham was losing his virginity. That is the way he knows Robert Duvall's work. And only that. So, we need to give credit where it's due, D-Day. Honestly, if I'm Linnell, just based on that performance, I'm telling HR, I'm telling management, hey, I actually worked today because I did this. This is what I did. Play the clip. And there's the clip. D-Day, I think we're making a case for Linnell. He's a big LeBron guy rather than Jordan. But you can make an argument in terms of some of the analytics, like what you did in the time that you're in there, in terms of efficiency ratings. Like, that's Michael Jordan flu game stuff. In fact, Michael's probably thinking, whoa, I got nothing on that efficiency that Linnell brought in that one segment and that one story.
The amount of euphemisms in that was crazy. It's about what you get it when you're in there. I mean, come on. Was that not on purpose? You had mentioned Lupe Fiasco, a legit wordsmith. I thought you would just transition into proving that you are a wordsmith as well.
Is this the part where I say, anybody got good? Can anybody top that story from Linnell in that context, in that realm? 310-840-4910. This is late night. That's what we're doing. I'm turning red. Turning red in the face. 310-840-4910. That's pretty strong. G-Day, was that you looking to volunteer or no? You don't think you can top that?
I don't know that I can top losing my virginity to an actor that I previously was not really aware of. And then just like willingly giving it. Like, it's not like you asked him, hey, how did you lose your virginity? It's like, hey, we lost Robert Duvall. And then he was like, I lost my virginity to Robert Duvall. And you're like, whoa, hold on. There's a lot more there.
No, that's not what happened. What had happened was, I said he didn't know of any Robert Duvall's movies. And he said correct. And then I started listing a few of his movies. Godfather Part 2, nope. The Natural, bum, 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 ba-da. Like, that's not actually The Natural. Sorry, that's 21st century. Sorry, got it wrong. Got things mixed up. But you know The Natural music. Can't do it with my voice right now. I don't have that type of bag. The Network and The Paper. So many movies that he's known for. And then I say, oh, he was in that soccer movie, Kicking and Screaming. And Linnell says, know that one. And here's why I know that one. That's what actually happened. In fact, I think we did a service. I think we did a service for Linnell in that.
Whoa.
What do you mean? We did a service for Linnell. That was not a euphemism. Not even close. In that he didn't know any of Robert Duvall's work. And I think it's important to know. I think Robert Duvall's a very important actor. And it sounds like he is a very important actor to Linnell. 310.
I don't think he's going to watch that movie anytime soon, I have to be honest.
I think he's going to. He's going to watch it with some company. 310-840-4910. That was a euphemism. Let's go to Paul. Let's go to Paul, who's in Detroit. No, we're not going to Paul? Okay. How about we go to Bruce then? Bruce is in Los Angeles. Bruce, right now I got some ideas on the top of my mind to make the NBA more interesting. I don't think they're the ideas.
Hey, Josh, how you doing?
Bruce, what do you got? Hey,
Bruce. Josh, how you doing? Yeah, I called in to talk about the NBA, but can I tell you Robert Duvall is one of my favorite actors. You got a second for a quick Robert Duvall anecdote?
Sure.
Okay, so you remember the scene at near the end of Godfather 1 where Michael's in the office in New York the very last time, and he's letting everyone know the plans, and he's basically told everyone that it's going to be his brother-in-law Carlo who's going to be the right-hand man, and Tom Hagen is out as consigliere. Remember that?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, and then Tom goes, "Why am I out?" The Robert Duvall character goes, "Why am I out?" And Michael goes, "Tom, you're not a wartime consigliere." Okay, so just keep that in your mind for a split second. And I'm watching CNN the other night, and one of the anchors is doing a very serious news show, and he's closing out the news show. John Berman is his name, and he's doing a little piece on Robert Duvall dying, and complete straight face, everything. He's not trying to make a joke. Just as he's signing off, he says, "And that's it for us tonight. And for the record, you were a good consigliere.
Ah, that's pretty good.
And that's the end. And I just couldn't believe I had to replay it about 10 times. So we're signing off for tonight. And for the record, you were a good Tom. You were a good consigliere.
And that's the way you need to exit and dismount. We'll get to the NBA stuff later, but you, Bruce, are a great wartime consigliere. I can't say that word. Consigliere. Nah, it's late. Thank you, Bruce. Apparently, Paul in Detroit wants in on Robert Duvall as well. Let's go to Paul, who's in Detroit. What do you got on Robert Duvall? We got about a minute and a half, Paul.
All right. Well, let's keep it this quick. Consigliere Tom Hagen. Is that his name in Godfather?
That's it.
Robert Duvall. That's his soul. 95. Lived a long, happy life, right? Now, here's the real question. You got a minute and a half left. Now it's down to about 20 seconds. I'm being Tom Brady right here. I'm calling Yankees winning the World Series. Catch me if you can. Let's hear what you got to say about that.
Okay. I don't have anything really to say about that, Paul, but I appreciate the call anyway. We're making title predictions. That's what we're doing here. All right. Parker from Michigan. I got about 40 seconds. Give me one quick Robert Duvall memory. What's your favorite Robert Duvall movie and why? Go.
I've only seen Kicking and Screaming, but I'm starting to think I need to watch The Godfather. I'm starting to think it might be a good movie.
No. Whoa, here's the thing, Parker. There's two of them.
What? Which one should I watch first?
You might want to watch part one and then part two.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Okay,
there goes
thank you.
Parker in Michigan. No. You should have just ended with, what? You sounded like a pro wrestling character. What? I love this show. I do. Let's hand out some bets, and Graham's gambling next.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Did you see a wolf sprinting after a couple of Olympic cross-country skiers today? Apparently it was a friendly wolf dog. Gave some licks after the skiers crossed the finish line. But if you haven't seen that, probably the best thing that happened in sports today. We have some bets to hand out, D-Day, because the NBA's regular season resumes on Thursday. Means it's a good time to look at some of the props, look at some of the markets where maybe we can capitalize, some of the future markets, if you will. Have a few to hand out. Let's do that right now in Graham's Gambling.
It's time for Graham's Gambling. Let's make some money.
Okay, D-Day. The Oklahoma City Thunder remain your betting favorites to win the NBA Finals. The buzzword you hear in the betting space is value. This isn't saying the team I'm about to bet is going to win the championship, but the odds just don't make sense where they're currently aligned. Oklahoma City plus 130 to win the title. The Denver Nuggets are plus 550. The New York Knicks are plus 1,300, as are the Boston Celtics and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Then you have the San Antonio Spurs at 14-1. Why? San Antonio is the biggest threat to Oklahoma City, not Denver. So rather than going plus 850 to win the West, you might as well get the air quote best value and take the Spurs plus 1,400 to win the title. And if you want to hedge in the finals, you can to guarantee that you make a profit. Let's not forget that the Spurs are 4-1 against Oklahoma City this year. So 14-1 odds to win the finals, we'll take that. But this might be even stronger than that, D-Day. The Cleveland Cavaliers currently have 33 wins. There are 29 games remaining. The over-under for their regular season wins, 52.5. That means Cleveland would have to finish 20-9 down the stretch. Pretty much the same pace that they're at right now. They'd have to finish that way. And they're playing great. They've been playing great since they added James Harden and Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis. And have you taken a look? Well, I'd be surprised if the answer to this question is yes, but I'll ask the question anyway. Have you taken a look at who Cleveland plays the rest of the way? Who Cleveland has on its schedule? It'd be nuts if you answered that question. Why, yes, Josh. I have. I've completely studied the rest of the Cavaliers' regular season schedule. But, D-Day, don't want to doubt you ever.
You can judge a book by its cover on this one. Doubt is welcomed. I have not looked at the remainder of their schedule.
Okay. They open up Thursday night with a home game against the Brooklyn Nets. They also play the Nets in Brooklyn. So you have them twice. You also have the Milwaukee Bucks twice. You also have the Dallas Mavericks. Earmuffs, D-Day. They have the Washington Wizards still to play. So, looking at the schedule, regardless of what the opponents were, like the idea of them going 20-9 the rest of the way, but when they have the Wizards, when they have the Bucks twice, when they have the Cavaliers, the Mavericks, actually they have Dallas twice. Wow. They played Dallas twice. And they have the Nets twice. That's a pretty strong one to take right now. Cavaliers over 52.5 wins in the regular season. And they're going to need those wins for playoff positioning with that top 4 in the Eastern Conference. You're going to be at Duke, Michigan on Saturday. We've had odds for this game for a while now. But how interesting is this? Duke opened as a 1.5-point favorite in the game. The odds now, Michigan minus 2.5. Over under 148.5. D-Day, how does that hit you?
That tells me that some money has been really moving since the opening of that. If that's swung, it's effectively 3 points.
Michigan, massive alumni base. Michigan, number 1 team in the country. Also, Duke. People hate Duke, which means people want to bet against Duke. And you got casual viewers who maybe have only seen Duke play one game. And what game might that have been, D-Day?
That might have been the UNC game. I don't know that would swing a 3-point favorite, though. Or 3 points.
I'm just saying the combination of 3 things together. Michigan being number 1 now. Michigan, Duke having lost recently in a game everybody saw. And also the same way that you struggle to get really good odds on the Cowboys or on the Yankees because you have so many people that want to, wish and hope that happens and bet on their team to win. It's the reverse for Duke because so many people hate Duke. They're the most polarizing brand in college basketball. Most people are going to say they don't like Duke. So that probably factors into this a little bit as well. The over-under's what surprised me. That's what jumps out. Neutral site, great defenses, Big Ten team against maybe the best defense in college basketball, 148.5. Seems a bit steep, but we can revisit that later. How about we get into tonight in college basketball? Bill Self, he's grown annoyed with Darren Peterson. He gets asked all the time about Darren Peterson. He defends Darren Peterson. Darren Peterson he played in 18 minutes. He played 18 minutes tonight in the win against Oklahoma State. He had 23 points. And it seemed as if after he hit a 3, he motioned over to Bill Self to remove him from the game. He seems to have taken himself out of the game. He's done this so many times throughout the year. As Bill Self pointed out in his press conference after the game, here was the Hall of Fame Kansas coach.
Yeah, I thought we were offensively great early, and when we did score, we got great looks, and of course Darren was terrific early, but I thought everybody played well early, and then we didn't finish the half great, and then second half we just kind of pieced it together. But I thought overall we were good enough early to kind of keep them at arm's length for the remainder of the game.
You guys have kind of had this a couple times now where Darren has a really strong first half and then isn't able to go the rest of the game. Just how have you sort of navigated that, and what challenges does that maybe present?
Well, we've had it more than a couple of times, and I didn't anticipate that tonight at all. I thought he was good to go, but obviously we only got 18 minutes out of him, and that's disappointing because he could have had a really big night. But one thing about it is it's happened often enough that our guys have learned to play without him, even though that's not the way we want to play. But that's certainly something that we're not unaccustomed to, right now.
Well, that's going to be a story right there. He could have had a big night. We weren't expecting that. We thought he was good to go. There you go. Bill Self saying that wasn't injury related, wasn't tightness in his hamstring or whatever. Darren Peterson taking himself out of a basketball game because he's like, nah, I'm done. Playing coach. I'm sorry, man. If this doesn't register as a red flag when you're talking about such little separation between the top guys in this draft, I don't know what to tell you. But that to me is a red flag.
It felt like not a full breaking point, but it did feel like for the first time in this whole experience, there was like a noticeable crack in the Bill Self foundation. Because I thought when he had the illness situation, I thought Bill Self kind of vouched for him a little bit. Like he went to bat and said, hey, like he was sick, like people get sick, that sort of thing, right?
I'm tired of hearing about this, is what he said.
This did not feel like that.
No.
This was like hey guys, I don't really know either.
Our team has grown accustomed to him not being out there. We're used to this. If you're an NBA team and you have the choice of everybody available, how do you pick that dude first? That's my problem. I'm there. I'm there where I'm like, this class, give me DeBonsa over him. AJ DeBonsa goes for 33 tonight. How many minutes do you think, without looking, how many minutes would you guess that DeBonsa went tonight?
He might have gone 30 minutes, 33 minutes.
The answer's 39.
Oof.
Darren Peterson's season high in minutes is 35. He's exceeded 30 minutes 6 times. Would you like to know how many times AJ DeBonsa has exceeded 30 minutes? Every game but 4. AJ DeBonsa. I'm sorry. If I have an option, I'm taking that guy over Darren Peterson. Because this dude fills it up every night. He's there for his teammates. He's trying to do everything he can to help BYU basketball. And D-Day, this is the part it's so hard to reconcile with. 10 years ago was when we were really introduced to the idea of protecting yourself physically. 2016 season, Christian McCaffrey decides to opt out of the Sun Bowl against North Carolina, 2016. Christian McCaffrey seemed kind of to be the first to do that. At that time, the discourse was, well, they're not being paid, and you got to protect the athlete, and think about all that they're sacrificing. Darren Peterson's getting paid $3 million a year by Kansas. $3 million to play basketball this year. Is that as much as he's going to make in the NBA? No, it isn't. But is that chump change? Let me ask a different question. If Kansas thought that they were only going to get Darren Peterson in half the games, or make it a third of the games if he continues to stay healthy and play even just 18 minutes, and in the games that he does play, he only gives you 18 to 20 minutes, do you think they still offer him $3 million to play for him?
Hell no.
No way that happens. How do you defend this? Again, he's really, really good when he plays. Got news for Darren Peterson. There is not a Cooper Flagg this year. There is not certainly a Victor Wembanyama or a LeBron James or even an Anthony Davis. None of these guys are that kind of good. It's just a lot of really good players, but not generational guys. That's not what we're looking at in this draft. So, if I'm an NBA team, not taking this dude who, okay, you're the hottest thing in college and you're acting like it. He's the hot girl that knows that they're hot. That's what he is. And that's not good. You don't want someone to act that way. You don't want that to be the case. And again, part of me doesn't want to blame Darren Peterson completely, but to the way you put it was well put. If the video is what happens, if what we saw in video is what it turned out to be, if Darren Peterson's hitting a three and then motioning to take him out because he's done enough, then it's not, his surrounding, it's not his inner circle. It's not, it's his, he's got like a crazy dad. Or, this is him. This is him. He's doing it in the game. And he's taking himself out. And he deserves criticism because he's making $3 million to play basketball at Kansas. And Kansas is not getting what it paid for. Absolutely, positively not. Like, just try to think, D-Day, how much different the discourse would be if this happened in the NBA. Just try to imagine that one of the best players in the NBA is trying to save himself for the playoffs. And he's motioning over to, let's say it's Anthony Edwards. And Anthony Edwards is motioning over to the T-Wolves coach. I've done enough tonight. I'm taking myself out of the ballgame. I'm only going to play in a half. How do you think that goes over?
I think Stephen A. Smith would get on First Take and say, if you go by New York basketball, you should be arrested.
Correct. Maybe even say worse things. Might go resort to Kwame Brown type language, for those who know. But that's just mind-blowing. Truthfully mind-blowing tonight. And Bill Self, it seems he's hit that breaking point, and what happens next is going to be really interesting. By the way, huge night in college hoops. With respect to Arizona beating BYU and Creighton upsetting UConn, Arkansas, Alabama, that's the game of the night. Double OT, 117 to 115, Alabama beating Arkansas. One ranked matchup we have tonight, and boy did it live up to the billing. Arkansas got 49 points from Darius Acuff Jr. in a loss. Imagine that feeling in college. You go for 49 and your team doesn't win the basketball game. Filan Jr. didn't get to those type of numbers, but 11 of 21, he had 35 for the Crimson Tide. That was a great game. I personally went to an ACC basketball game tonight. The ACC's back. 4 teams in last year, worst turnout the league's, frankly, seen in the modern era. They're going to get at least 8, and they could get as many as 10 into the tournament this year. And tonight was a reminder. Clemson, who's pretty firmly in the field, lost against Wake Forest, one of the 5 worst teams in the league, and handled their business. I hate to say it about Wake Forest that way, because Steve Forbes did mention to me as I was leaving tonight, he said, "Oh, you're on till 3 a.m. Eastern? I'm usually up at that time. I might just throw you on." Sorry, Steve. Big Steve Forbes fan here. By the way, Steve Forbes might have played a role in me having this job. He was on. He's the one that broke the news, D-Day. The day before the press release was about to go out. Someone asked about my last show that I was on coming to an end. And, hey, what do you think about that, Steve? And in his press conference, he's like, "Yep, I know about Westwood One. I know about Josh working at Westwood One. Yeah, the guy, whatever his name was, called me. I was in that's how he talks. I was in the Hobby Lobby around Christmas time and just got a call, and I roamed around the Hobby Lobby for the next hour." They got a win today against Brad Brownell's team. Great story. Brad Brownell's Clemson Tigers. Lost a lot, and they're going to make the tournament again. That's great. There are 2 massive stories that we are interested in today, or 2 central topics that we're wanting to hit. And we'll do that next on Westwood One Sports Night.
Westwood One, baby!
Will Tua Tagovailoa jumpstart his career in a new city like Baker Mayfield did? We're tracking quarterbacks on the move and what it means for the NFL on Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Couple of big topics we're hitting on today. And we're asking these questions. Last call for phone calls. Which of the 8 divisional last place teams has the best shot at going from worst to first this NFL season, this fall? Also, can the NBA solve its tanking issue by getting rid of the draft? Is that something they could do? Would it work? 310-840-4910. Last call for phone calls. Our selection for the largest leap we're going to see in 2026 in the NFL. The Tennessee Titans. Worst to first. They probably realize the error of their ways now, taking Mike Vrabel for granted, letting him walk only to fire Brian Callahan less than 2 years later, and watching Mike Vrabel in his first year take the New England Patriots to Super Bowl 60. So if you're Tennessee at this point, you can't have Mike Vrabel back. So why don't you just try to recreate the blueprint he set in New England, in Foxborough? The Patriots, they were a bottom 5 team in the NFL at this time a year ago. They had a promising quarterback entering his second season. They needed to make a coaching hire. They hired a retread, defensive-minded head coach. That's precisely what the Titans have done. They're picking 4th in the draft. They have Cam Ward entering year 2, last year's number 1 overall pick. Plus, they hired Robert Saleh, a retread defensive coach, who seems to be set up better today than he was taking over the New York Jets. And the most evident area that's the case, the most important coordinator hire that's been made this cycle was when Tennessee landed Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll had options. Brian Daboll, he was introduced to the media today in Nashville. And he was talking about why he chose the Tennessee job over other jobs. And we have this sound. Here was Dable speaking to Cam Ward's role and his intrigue for this job.
And then ultimately Cam was a big factor. Have a lot of confidence in this young man. I'm sure I'll get asked about the pre-draft process last year, which was about this time. Had a lot of touch points with him, meetings, 30 visits, going down to Miami, dinner with him and his family. So there was a good relationship built up leading up to the draft.
We forget about that. We always just think about for sure number one pick in a draft. Oh, they only built a relationship with one team. Not true. Other teams are going to visit with Fernando Mendoza at the Combine next week. Who knows? Maybe his future offensive coordinator. Maybe his future head coach is going to be on one of these teams talking to him, interviewing him. And this is why you should take all the interviews you can have. You do all the interviews you can during this process. Don't blow anybody off. Looking at you, Shedeur Sanders. And you take it seriously. Because you never know. There's no way that when Brian Daboll's the head coach of the Giants at this time a year ago, that Cam Ward's thinking, oh, this guy's going to be my offensive coordinator in a year. But that's just how it works out. And also don't forget, Daboll, he helped Josh Allen and Jackson Dart get their careers off the ground. He's essentially the head coach for offense, which Saleh didn't have when he was with the Jets. You telling me that Brian Daboll isn't an upgrade over Nathaniel Hackett? Here was Daboll one more time on the importance of his head coaching experience now that he is an offensive coordinator again in Tennessee.
Yeah, well, I would say this. I have a tremendous amount of respect for the job that Robert has to do from being in that. I'm very happy to be where I'm at right now and to be part of this football team as the offensive coordinator. I'm always going to be here for Robert, the rest of the staff. But, that's a hard chair to sit in, and having some experience sitting in it will help me relative to being the best teammate I can be for this staff. And
that's what you want to hear. Perfect answer from Brian Daboll. Very important hire. And it seems as if the Titans are flying under the radar screen, largely overlooked. And that's probably for a handful of reasons. One, the Titans, that's a small market. There are 10 hires that were made this cycle. You had 2 long-tenured coaches departing. Notable names, Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh after 19 years. John Harbaugh in Baltimore after 18. The Giants, they attracted the most attention with the splash they made with Harbaugh. That might be the answer most people give to the question, which last-place team is most likely to go worst to first? You might answer the Giants, but it's hard not to like what the Titans did here. And they're in the right division to do it. There's nobody in the AFC South that scares you the way that the Eagles do, a year and change removed from a dominant win in the Super Bowl. There's not a team like that that scares you in the AFC South. So it's a division you can go from worst to first. The other topic we were hitting on, basketball, it's the only sport you could get rid of the draft and really it elevate potentially the sport that we're talking about. In major professional sports, that is. It's a difficult sport. Let's just think about basketball in a very practical sense. What makes basketball a lot different than, say, football or baseball or hockey? It's very difficult to hoard talent in basketball. You still can only play 5 players at one time. And there's enough star power in the NBA today for everybody to have really good players. Also, great teams easily could have their money tied up with just a few guys, thus not have the ability to spend the way that other teams in the league do for younger players in the draft, let's say. There's still a salary cap. And if you couple eliminating the draft with the idea that Stan Van Gundy pushed as well, this is something that could work. Here was that piece of the puzzle as SVG lied it out on the Golick and Golick show.
Not the rank and file to vote it in is let's take out the individual max on players. So keep the salary cap where it is. But if you want to give 90% of your salary cap to one guy, great. Because I think what we get now is some of these teams can put together super teams, 2 and 3 stars, because a guy will sacrifice $1 million or $2 million a year. He's not going to sacrifice 20 or 30 million a year. And I think if there was no individual max on players, you'd take those top 30 players in the league and spread them around the league because people would be getting $60, $70 million a year.
So get rid of individual caps on what you can make and keep a salary cap. And that's how you would guarantee that the talent would be spread around. Everybody's free agents. The other thing that we need to just be honest about with the NBA draft, the NBA has already ruined the draft as a consumer product. Adam Silver never viewed college basketball as a partner, the way that Roger Goodell and the NFL clearly has with college football. It's really dumb. It's among the dumbest things Adam Silver's done in his time as commissioner. Roger Goodell understands. They don't need minor league football leagues. They don't need it because they have a free minor league they don't have to pay for in college football. And people love their college programs. And thus he sees money signs in terms of people wanting to watch the NFL coast to coast because they want to continue following the players they fell in love with college. In college, they become stars, and then you already have baked-in stars in your league the moment that they're drafted. Like, people have a relationship with Fernando Mendoza in a way that you just don't really get often with college basketball players. And it's because of that things Adam Silver's done in the last decade. He tried to undercut college hoops by supporting the G League path and encouraging these offshoots like Ignite and Overtime Elites. And this caused a few years before college got NIL and revenue sharing figured out, where we didn't know who any of the players were that were taken at the top. You remember Scoot Henderson going number 3 in the draft? Did you watch him with G League, the G League path, or was it? I honestly can't tell the difference between the three. Buzelis was another one, the Thompson twins. No, we had no relationship with these players before they were selected into the NBA. And that's not good for the NBA. And the NBA has never been able to get the hats right on draft night. That's because the new league year doesn't start until a few weeks after the draft. Thus, all the moves that are made on draft night, or pardon, the trades that are made on draft night, they're not made official until the new league year starts. So they can't say that this guy who was taken by another team via trade is actually on that team until the trade is made official. So then we have to watch the draft not knowing who the hell this guy is playing for because he's wearing a different hat and that pick belongs to somebody else, and then it's a complete mess to follow. And yeah, here's another pick about to go down to. It's a mess of a product, and no one's going to miss it if they were to get rid of it. No sport also is dealing with tanking at the level that the NBA is dealing with it. So would this solve the problem? Let's just ask ourselves that. You want to push against it? Hey, no, that's too much of a dramatic step. Would it solve the problem? Let's say we live in a world where tomorrow the commissioner said, guess what? There's not a draft this year. Everybody's going to be a free agent. Is there any doubt that that fixes the problem? It does, because why would anybody tank if there's absolutely no incentive to being bad? You'd have no choice but to try. Not saying that this is the move that'd be preferred. Not saying that it's likely. Not saying it's the only acceptable move for the NBA. But here's what I do feel is true. Half measures aren't good enough anymore. Half measures, such as, well, you can't limit your picks top 8 anymore. Ooh. Is that really going to change the behavior of teams? Probably not. Silver needs to be bolds. Revoke a draft pick. Get rid of the draft. Say it's going to go 1 through 30 again based on how bad you were in the regular season. Say that you're going to set the odds for what you are in the draft halfway through the year at the All-Star break. Something that could be characterized as being dramatic. That's what the NBA needs to do. Half-measure stuff, that's not going to get the job done. Plain and simple. D-Dang, we need to close the program. And to do that, we put the show to bed. What are we going to hear when we put the show to bed?
One of America's oldest and most passionate disputes has been settled in court. I'll tell you about it next.
Could Kyler Murray be next year's Sam Darnold? In a new home, we're tracking quarterbacks on the move and what it means for the NFL on Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Is this the Jonas Brothers? Oliver's shaking his head. What is this, Oliver?
This is MKTO Classic.
MTKO! Got it. D-Day said we were going to learn something about Oliver today based on his musical selections. What have we learned, D-Day?
I can't believe you didn't know the song Classic. I mean, it's a literal classic.
Out of my head, out of my mind.
Yeah, that one.
In a world gone plastic. Baby, it's a good song. I thought it was the Jonas Brothers, though. 310-840-4910. Before we put it to bed, Tim's in Oakland, and he's the last caller of the night. So, damn it, let's make it a good one. Tim, what do you got for me?
I would have to say I totally agree with what you guys were talking about Adam Silver and his failure to actually usher in the NCAA and make them a partner of the NBA. I think he's soft. He lacks any type of discipline on the league. I believe he's trying to make his own image so much that he's forgetting the blueprint that David Stern laid down. Do
you know what's weird about this, too? Can I tell you what's weird about it, too, Tim? Do you know where Adam Silver went to school?
No.
Adam Silver went to Duke. I've gone to every Duke-Carolina game since 2019. And so many times the game at Cameron, Adam Silver's in the building, and he's there, and he's watching it. And he has a relationship with Mike Krzyzewski, who wants what's best for the NBA as well because he sent so many guys there. So for him to go to that school and have a connection back at that place, it makes it even more maddening he doesn't understand this.
Yes, and to me, like the NCAA, they figured it out. Like the whole Mendoza, Trinidad Chambliss, Dante Moore, like we know who these guys are, and they're going back to school, minus Mendoza. And Trinidad Chambliss, it seems that he's going to sue because he lost. And it looks like he should try to go to the NFL. But I believe we have a relationship with these players, you know, as they come in from college, and it makes you excited to see them. And I'm a diehard Raider fan. We're never winning anything, but we won the Mendoza swim stakes. So I would actually say that the league is progressing much faster, and it's actually pushing the NBA out. The NBA has no type of bearings on anybody wanting to watch it until after the Super Bowl, until March Madness is over. Then we're like, okay, hey, let's watch the NBA. But just to reel it all the way in, I just really believe that Adam Silver has dropped the ball. Because if he would just make it a priority to be keen, to be a partner with the NCAA, it would be much easier to bring these players in, and you wouldn't have this tanking. You wouldn't have all of these teams trying to go after these next players because there's an understanding. There's a pecking order.
You know, and it's basically if you're losing, okay, we want you to get better by giving you higher draft picks. But if you're going to be the NBA and going to use that to where now hard-working people are paying their money for basketball tickets that are outrageously priced right now, and this is just strictly for the love of their team, and then they come there and they might not even see three of their superstars minus another superstar from another city. To me, it ruins the game. It takes away the integrity. It's not fun anymore, and it makes you just wonder, what are they actually going to try and do? They were okay with this little all-star game that they did. They finally got something right where they had all these different games, but still, look how much you had to do in order just to get someone's attention. So to me, you've lost all of the NBA's eyes. You lost the fans, and pretty much we're all just NFL. We're all NFL fans that we're just subject to watch the NBA now. So we're like, okay, let's just watch it, because there's nothing else to watch.
Adam,
and that's just what I feel.
Tim, I feel what you're saying, and I appreciate the call. We have to put it to bed on this show. It's good to hear your perspective. I agree with pretty much most of that. I pretty much all of it, and I appreciate you having to say it. Now let's put this show to bed.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, gents and germs, this is a big food show, which I like. I'm a foodie.
I almost let Tim put it to bed there. Almost did.
He's passionate. He had his radio up, though, and that's a no-no, Tim. We don't like it when your radio is up, when you're talking to us, because we do love ourselves, but we do not want to hear ourselves on like a 4-second delay. That's a big no-no. So I came across this story. There's been this long debate. It goes not to the end of time, but since whenever this country started doing wings and such. But a judge has ruled, a U.S. district judge in Illinois, has ruled saying that Buffalo Wild Wings can continue to call boneless wings wings despite the fact that they are more chicken nuggets. This is a massive for the boneless wings or still wings community here. Buffalo Wild Wings should offer buy one, get one free boneless wings.
Because I'm with you. If you don't allow them to call it boneless wings, are you erasing? Is this erasure of the boneless wing altogether? Like, if this wasn't allowed to stand, would we be able to see a boneless wing in any other context?
That's a great question. I would say no, because I would think the community would come after other establishments that would still be taking the approach of calling them wings, even if a judge said no, they are not wings. Okay. There would have been an uprising, I believe.
Sure. I think there would be. Do you prefer your wings boned in or boneless?
It depends on my mood. I'm versatile.
All right. How about right now?
I prefer boneless right now. I'm going to bed soon. Don't want to have all this stuff on my hands, and the beard also makes it very difficult for the bone-in wings. It gets all over the place.
The problem with boneless, specifically at that establishment that could be sponsoring this segment, figure it out, is I don't know how many to order. I don't know I don't know how to approximate it yet. Because we can agree that those size boneless wings, air quotes, are differently shaped than most places with boneless wings.
I would agree, and I am very body positive. Like, I want the big ones. I want the canoe sinker boneless wings.
Yeah, but how many to order at that establishment? I don't know.
18.
Like, I feel like I'm 18. That's how
2
much.
meals.
That's the magic number.
Yeah, you get 9 in one, and then 9 in another, or you get 10 in one sitting, and then maybe late at night, you get another 8, something like that.
Because my favorite move is finding places where I can get boned-in wings in increments of 12. I want 12, so I can eat 8 on the spot and usually take 4 leftover wings with me, and then some fries left over as well, and then just have a nice little lunch of.
You got an air fryer?
Wings. I do.
Okay. That saves that because microwaving the wings and then French fries in the microwave, trash, like straight trash.
Not cash.
Not cash.
So, there you have it. Big win in court. Some are saying this needs to be taken to the Supreme Court.
I didn't even know it was taken to the regular court. I also thought you were going to say that that particular establishment needs to do a better job saucing their wings. Because
speaking of sauce, do you know I'm based in Winston-Salem, North Carolina?
I do know that.
Do you know what else is based their headquarters in Winston-Salem, North Carolina?
Well, I learned tobacco was recently. I would say Buffalo Wild Wings.
The answer is Texas Pete hot sauce.
Not a fan.
Well, there was a lawsuit. Someone sued Texas Pete saying it was false advertising. False advertising because you're based in Winston-Salem and you call yourself Texas Pete. They won that, just like Buffalo Wild Wings won. And good on it. And I'll have that be the lasting thought on tonight's Westwood One.
This is Westwood One Sports.
I almost slipped. But no. I got it in.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin.